Hello and welcome to TNA Top 10 for September 23rd, 2024. If anybody's watching, they caught me look over at my phone to see what the date was because I didn't know it. With me, as always, I have Allison, Faye, and Andrew, but we got a special guest with us for both shows today, Pondwater Dave, our friend, the great ref. See, I've already messed up your intro. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I got it. He's blind in one eye, can't see shit out of the other. Counted when Ric Flair's shoulders were down in the last match in Tennessee is Pondwater Dave. Also, good close personal friend of that god-awful Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, man. I don't know.
God-awful Jeff Jarrett.
Well, Terry tried, and Andrew threw me under the bus right out of the gate. I'm happy to be here, excited, can't wait, because cheeseburgers are my favorite topic almost.
You see, you accuse me of planning everything, Andrew, and this is what happens when I don't plan it.
It's a fact you plan everything, and then when you don't plan something and I take my spot to hijack your shit, that's what I just did. So, Dave, you said hamburger, then you corrected yourself to cheeseburger. We said burger.
Yeah.
Does cheese belong on a hamburger?
Yes, 100%.
Allison?
Depends on your preference, but
Stop
both
it.
are
You
good.
personally,
Me
don't
personally,
go that way.
it's always a cheeseburger.
I'm saying you're from New York. Don't give me no political bullshit.
No. Always.
Cheese, yes or no?
Yes, for me, but I will say I was thinking of double A when I just put the word burgers on the title.
That's what I was asking. We're 4 for 4 because I'm putting cheese on mine. Go ahead, Dave.
I'll qualify it that in most cases it requires cheese, but in the event that I'm going to put like A1 steak sauce or a Heinz 57 on there, I really don't want the cheese on there. But those are about the only two exceptions. It's just depending on how we're garnishing it.
Well, we're going to get into burgers in 25 minutes or so.
Somebody tell Bober to shut up. Oh, wait.
Yeah, Bober, stop it. Stop. Wait till we start talking about the Yankees, God's team, in first place in the American League, Bober. I got it all covered for you in the next segment.
Speaking of Yankees, we got a Yankee with us here. And
did someone piss her off again?
Let me tell you. Okay, so I have been to multiple arenas recently, correct? You guys know I've been traveling like crazy, right? What do people have against Diet Coke? What is it? Not just Diet Coke, but Diet Soda, okay? I don't like full sugar sodas. I don't. It's just me. But I went to Chicago. No Diet Coke. I go to this weekend. I was in Springfield. No Diet Coke. Oh, we have Coke Zero. I didn't ask for a Coke Zero. I want a Diet Coke. And apparently, that's too much to ask for.
Coke Zero is superior to Diet Coke.
Fuck off. It is not.
I knew I was going to get it.
I mean, our topic tonight is fast food burgers. Now, there's nothing better to me than a McDonald's double cheeseburger, fries, and a Diet Coke. Like, that's it. That is it for me. So this has been like, I don't know what's happening with the world today. Just give me my Diet Coke.
I went to McDonald's Saturday, despite the fact not eating fast food often. No burger, had the spicy chicken sandwich, hot fries the way God intended, and sweet tea.
No. Well, if we were in the UK, they would call that a burger.
That's true.
Say chicken burger.
Yeah,
weirdos.
I love McDonald's sweet tea and fries. You keep your Diet Coke.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll have.
Are we intrigued by the Big Mac with chicken?
It's a chicken sandwich with extra bread.
I mean, that's just more stuff for me to move out.
Lettuce, pickles, onions, and special sauce. Are they grilling it or are they frying it?
Now, if you're talking about maybe bringing back the McRib for good, we'll have a conversation.
McRib is only seasonal. They know what they're doing there. It's like $high cocaine.
You forget how horrible it is.
No, you are wrong. So wrong.
Nasty thing again.
So
Allison,
wrong.
Do you have access to the gas station Circle K where you're at?
No.
Oh,
I do.
Why? Do they have one?
They have a rib sandwich for $3.99 that's better than the McRib.
No. Okay, no, now I'll look for
It's
it.
missing the onion, but
Oh, okay. But you could do that at home.
Because you can do
Like,
what all
the
the
actual
McRib is onion
rib.
and pickles on the bun, isn't it? That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
the actual rib portion
It's
has a
very
better
good.
flavor than the McRib to me.
Okay, well,
Figure out how to come up with gas station food rankings somehow.
I like that. All right.
You said Circle K. We got Racetrack and
I'm all about the Wawa. We don't have them here, but you take me to a Wawa any day, and I am super happy to eat there.
Wegmans is a big place up that way.
I live on the corner or right off the corner of 70 and 581. We have a Murphy's Express, a Sheetz, and a Handy Mart.
Oh
and
my!
And we're getting a Wawa.
Oh, that's pretty great.
I would be willing to bet that if Love's has the rib sandwich, it's probably the same one that Circle K's selling.
We just got our first Loves up here. Like we don't
Really?
have a lot. Yeah, we don't have a lot of them around here in the Northeast. We got one right by the border between Connecticut and Massachusetts, so like 15 minutes from my house.
See, we've already almost named 10 different gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
well,
pretty good.
like Dave knows about gas stations too because that was his previous work. So
I mean, I'll also admit,
Loves.
come
That
up
was my
with-
dad's favorite truck stop, though. If he was traveling, he was going to find a Love's, legitimately, off the interstate. That's where he was going. He wasn't going. What's the other one, Dave? Help me out. The
Pilot.
there's the Pilot, and then the other one, the Flying J.
Flying J.
Flying J.
But he would go to Love's. He always picked Love's, and it wasn't like there was anything special there. It was just the one he preferred.
Well, the bathrooms are cleaner.
Maybe that's what it was. Honestly,
Cleanest bathrooms on the interstate.
like
It's
my
not
dad
even
would
close.
never. My dad would never say shit like that, but that might be what it was. Like he's that guy that just doesn't say nothing. He's like, we're going to this place, you know?
Well,
Yep.
and for years, Love's prided themselves on customer service, and by providing great customer service, sales followed. While Pilot was like would hard sell you, like today we're going to sell bananas, so they put bananas on the counter. Or they had a rule that they had to try to sell you cigarettes, even if you didn't smoke. They were pushing cigarettes to every customer. So they set like sales goals every day for their cashiers. Love's focused on the service, and with the service, sales came. And that was your basic difference.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That's actually really good. I didn't know that, honestly.
All right,
and
what
I
do we
used to
got
smoke.
tonight?
You know, I think we went to wrestling, or are we going to baseball?
I think we're
first?
starting with the
Baseball,
baseball.
It's baseball.
The
You gotta
baseball.
get
I
our
mean-
segues right. You're messing up our segue if you go to wrestling.
It's all a work anyway. Let's go.
The baseball.
The baseball.
God's team is back at it again.
I mean,
The Yankees,
you know,
Terry. Terry, you ready? I don't want you to miss anything. Are you
Go
paying
ahead. I have
attention?
not watched an entire baseball game all season, so
Okay, well, I
I can
watched.
be sad about the Braves not making the playoffs, but I haven't watched any of it.
I watched Garrett Cole throw 9 innings the other night, and that does not happen in Yankee country anymore. So the Yankees, 92-64, 8-2 in the last 10, 6 up on Baltimore in the AL East, 1 win for the AL title in the East, and 3 for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's where they're at. They have the best record in the American League, only behind the Dodgers in baseball now, and they're tied with the Phillies. Also, for the first time since 2014, no baseball team will make 100 wins this year. So even the Dodgers will not get to 100. It's not mathematically possible. Warren for the Yankees has come on as the closer, and when he only pitches 1 inning, he gets it done. So we can see more of that. Like I said, Cole pitched a complete game the other night against Oakland. Had to have Warren shut it down. And Judge, the man, 323, 55 home runs, 138 on the RBIs, and 1.15 OPS. It's down to him and Ohtani for the MVP. And I think they probably don't do an overall MVP, so they're winning
That's the
their leagues. No. And Dave lives in Texas and rooted for Texas last year. They are eliminated from the playoffs, as I ribbed him before the show. Have to remind everybody.
I don't know if I'm going to say that I actually rooted for Texas. I didn't root against them, but I just kind of held. I just kind of held my breath, and then it's like I was excited that they did it, like they finally did it. But since I was a little boy, I've always known that they'll break your heart. And I told my daughter, because she's a Rangers fan, they'll break your heart. I told my good friend Kyle Davis from PCW back in the day. He loved the Texas Rangers, said they'll break your heart. And they finally didn't break their heart until this year when they broke their heart again.
Well, and here's the deal, and you know it. You guys, we joke about Garrett Cole pitching 9 innings. That doesn't happen anymore. You guys had Nolan Ryan, who set that standard very, very high. And then all of a sudden you don't pitch. And we may not have time for this, but I saw it again. They want to go to 6 innings unless it's 4 earned runs and injury. They want to go to 6 innings for pitchers now because they're saying pitchers are not pitching enough. So we'll see if that rule changes in the offseason or not.
That is pretty intrusive.
Can't they look at the NFL and see that they've bastardized the kicking game and it's not good? I mean,
the NFL is horrible. The kicking game is absolutely atrocious.
There's a reason it's the one sport we don't cover in this show.
Yeah,
we got a whole football show, but we don't ever mention the NFL.
Nope.
But it's a good parallel because, and it came into play yesterday that when you do an onside kick, you have to tell them we're doing an onside kick, and you can't do it unless you're behind in the fourth quarter. No shit, we're going to do an onside kick.
Well, I don't agree that you can call for a fair catch on a kickoff. That's a live ball. Always will be a live ball. Always should be. Don't put it out at the 35. Make them march it 80 yards down the field. There's a bunch of crap they've done that's stupid. Speaking of stupid crap, Terry, your Braves.
They're not making it. You can't catch 2 teams down by 3 games. It's just not going to happen.
Terry, they're not mathematically eliminated yet.
Yeah,
that's why they're in the notes.
They're eliminated. Although I did see where Craig Kimbrell is available now, so I expect them to gobble him up.
85-71, buddy. 6-4 in the last 10. Your Braves.
Yeah,
but they are behind the Diamondbacks and the Mets for the 3rd spot. They're sitting in number 4.
Stinking Mets. Does anybody want the Mets to win anything?
No.
Who likes the Mets?
My dad would probably say go Mets because,
George.
We like George too. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But you have to understand when you grow up in New York, Long Island, and everything, and you've got 2 teams, it's kind of like sacrilegious to root against your own hometown team.
Yeah. Well,
I've always had
I don't know
for the Mets because of Bobby Witt.
Although I say that and I hate the Rangers, so yeah, all right. I guess my argument goes nowhere.
I've been living in this state a long time, and there's some teams in this state that I don't like at all.
Roll Tide. Oh, did I say that out loud? All right. Playoff picture looks like this. The Guardians have clinched. The Yankees and Astros lead the divisions. Baltimore, Kansas City, now Detroit instead of Minnesota in the final wild card spot in the AL. Brewers have clinched. Dodgers and Phillies lead their divisions. Have not clinched. Can tomorrow or the next day. Diamondbacks, Mets, Padres. Braves are on the outside looking in, Terry, unless something – they need magic. That's like mathematically Tampa Bay and Boston are not eliminated from playoff contention, but they're like 4 or 5 games behind. There is no way that they make it to the wild card spot. They'd have to have so many things happen to be ridiculous. Last story on baseball, Ohtani went 50-50 and never been done. I don't even know what his stat is. I think he's 52 home runs right now, but not sure on the stolen bases. The other day when we were talking about this in the group chat and Timmy was like, yeah, Andrew, it's never been done. We did research and Acuna last year had 41 home runs and 57 stolen bases, but was not 50-50. Right. So Ohtani was the fastest to 40-40. The only to do 50-50. He's only got a 300 batting average, and he's a pitcher, remind you.
But stolen bases are cheaper now, because like we said earlier, they get involved with the rules. And it gives the advantage to the base runner.
Yeah, the last thing on Ohtani, in the game where he broke the record, he went 3 for 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, or 3 stolen bases. And the Dodgers scored 20 runs in that game. It was like 20-4.
God, stupid Dodgers.
So
don't worry. And the thing about Ohtani, His
They'll lose
his
in the
O,
first
his
round.
OPS this season is not as high as Barry Bonds' career OPS.
That's insane.
Right. And that was the other thing, and we'll wrap this up, Terry. The season that Judge and Otani are having is still 8 seasons worse than Bonds had ever. You have 8 seasons Bonds had that are better, and those are his worst seasons that are better than these 2 best seasons.
And that's also where he had that. I don't know what it was, some kind of disease that was making his head swell up every year. I mean, he had to deal with that too when he was.
My thing is, and Dave, you can weigh in on this. I don't give a shit if the man was on steroids or not. Other than Ken Griffey Jr., find me a prettier swing in baseball and a more
he had an
natural
anabolic aneurysm.
swing in baseball.
Speaking of
Now-
steroids, what's going on in wrestling?
Hey.
Nobody hits 500 feet. Dave has a thought.
Let me put a button on baseball from the casual fan perspective. I'm actively. I don't care who wins as long as it's not the Houston Astros or the Atlanta Braves.
Man,
I
I'm
mean,
hot at
in
the Atlanta.
Mississippi
They
and doesn't
took,
want the Braves to win. Wow.
they took my minor league team and they're moving it to
Oh.
Georgia. So I'm half hot at the Atlanta Braves.
Fair reason.
Yeah, that's
Fair
good.
reason.
reason.
We're
That's
getting
a fair
another team next year. We're voting for names.
Oh, that's great.
Mississippi Mud Dogs
I
or
love
Mud
it.
Cats. Mississippi Mud.
Make it the craziest thing ever. That's what we do.
The Mississippi Grits. Or the Mississippi
What's
Soul,
the thing at the gas stations?
it was Soul something or another. I voted for the Mud Dogs or Mud Cats. Mud Dogs. Mississippi Mud Dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, because all a mud cat is a catfish.
It's Mississippi Mud Cats. The catfish is the logo.
Just it's a catfish. Mud cat is a catfish.
Oh,
All
Because
right.
they're bottom feeders, for anybody who didn't know. Speaking of bottom feeders and wrestlers not on steroids, let's talk about AEW, because I knew. Allison, you were
Yes.
in Massachusetts, 2,200 officially at that event. You asked, you sent me a picture, showed me the arena. 2,200 were in Massachusetts this past weekend for
Okay.
Collision, which featured a bunkhouse match, which looked kind of
It
fun.
did. So I will tell you, they taped. It was live for Collision, then they taped Rampage, and then we got a couple of Ring of Honor shows. I have not had that much fun at an AEW show in a long, long time. Granted, the crowd might have been small, but they were into it, and it was fantastic. Tony Khan came out not once but twice to talk to the fans, and they were very, very receptive. But to me, I'll tell you, the whole night, the bunkhouse match was great. Lots of ladders, tables, tons of blood, but whatever.
were you disgusted by the blood in front of you?
You know that Scott put me that close just so I could be like, yes, blood.
Scott shared a screenshot of you getting on him and showing a picture of the blood in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew.
Yep, exactly.
I
Scott,
knew how you felt about it.
yeah, our friend Scott knows about my blood. He's the one who left me goggles at my seat at the front row at the GCW show. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so all the matches were really, really good. But the match that took the night for me, match of the night, which surprised me because I was not a fan of one of these wrestlers, was Serena Deeb versus Queen Aminata. Now, I've seen Queen Aminata before, and she's fantastic. But for some reason, the two of them together, poetry. It was gorgeous. They were They went off of each other so well. It was the technical expertise, it looked like. Just, it moved smoothly. It wasn't slow like some of the other women's matches. Because you had Mariah in another match I'm trying to think who she was first. I don't know, but it was, obviously I don't remember, so it wasn't that good. So kudos to those women because that was a fantastic match. The whole night was really fun. I was really impressed.
Queen Aminata.
Aminata.
I'm not trying.
I mean,
Me either.
she got her eye busted. Her face is pretty messed up right now. Her eye.
I didn't see.
Got her eye busted. Yeah, because
Okay.
she just got there posting on Twitter that thank you for the get well wishes, but you don't have to send dick pics with them. Somebody sent her well wishes and a dick pic.
God bless her. That's fantastic.
So she called him out on it.
But it was good. It was a great lead into Grand Slam. So I think here we see our matches.
Yeah, so it's a 9 card, but there's only eight on the pictures. I don't know what the 9th one is. And this be pretty quick conversation, I think. I mean, it's okay. 5,800 set up in a 20,000 arena at Arthur Ashe. They're at 5121 sold right now.
Well, if you look at this poster, everything other than the bottom left picture is hey, let's pick names out of a hat and give them a match. That's what this looks like to me.
So,
Nigel and
storylines here. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Nigel and Danielson have a 20-year storyline, but they did. They did it on Collision, but they should have been building this for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Correct.
Because they have the library. They own Ring of Honor. It's dumb.
There you go.
But AEW's got a hardcore wrestling audience. But I would bet 10 to 15% of that wrestling audience has never seen Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
Amazing matches in Ring of Honor.
And they also sorry to cut you off, but they make these assumptions a lot that their fan base knows history that we don't necessarily know.
No.
Well, that's like when they try to do the tie-ins with New Japan. No offense, but only the hardcore fans really watch New Japan.
Especially now, because all of the Ginjis or Gaijins are over here in the United States now.
Exactly. And they talk about these storylines like we're supposed to know. Oh, well, when she was over there in Japan, she had a feud with I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
What was that like? Yeah. So, I'll watch it.
We'll run it down, because Terry's not going to watch it. I don't have to bet.
No.
I might watch this. I mean, this is Wednesday, right?
Yes, this is Wednesday.
And Wednesday and Saturday, they were saying, for some reason.
Because it's going to continue. Like, if you see the one for Grand Slam, it's got the Collision on it for the trios. So they've got Dynamite. Jeff Jarrett made the Dynamite. Congratulations, Pondwater.
Hey, I want to tell you a little fun fact about Jeff Jarrett's lumberjack strap match. He loves the lumberjack strap match, but I watched an episode of 1988 Memphis today that me and Dave and the HSV are going to cover, and there's a promo by Jeff Jarrett that he's cutting on Hector Guerrero for their lumberjack strap match. In 1988, so what's old is new.
This is going to offend Dave, my friend here, but this should be a 5-minute squash match. Hangman goes over. After that steel cage match, there is no reason Jeff Jarrett even is able to catch his breath out of the gate in this match. None whatsoever.
Well, I'd like to see Jeff win. I don't like Hangnail Adam Page.
Hangnail.
And I think it's going to go 5 to 10. They're going to tell the story with the lumberjacks wearing them out with the straps. I don't expect Jeff. I'd love to see Jeff win. I don't expect it, but there's not a lot of there's really not a lot on this card that's not predictable.
Yeah. So if you start at the bottom right, just because it's the least in match, and we have to talk about Chris Jericho every time we have it. So Jericho and his people against the conglomeration. Who gives a shit? Make me care about Chris Jericho in 2024.
Could this match be setting up, because the internet's been on fire about it? Could MVP come out because you know that it's not AEW if somebody didn't come out on the ramp after a match. Could MVP come out and kind of go after Jericho a little bit, teasing that Bobby Lashley's coming? Could you imagine MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin at AEW?
Jesus.
Ooh. It would work.
Yeah.
It would work.
No complaints.
And you know that they do. They love for somebody to come out on the ramp or run in after a match.
Yeah.
And let's not forget they love factions in AEW.
Oh, Lord.
Terry's favorite part of the match. So
Almost
Jamie-
as much as 12-member
12
matches.
men matches.
Jamie Hayter versus Saraya. Does anyone think that in a Saraya rules match, does anyone think that Saraya has a chance in this match against Hayter?
Would you like me to read the rules?
Yeah.
Would you like me to read the
They're
rules?
so good. I love them. Yes. Please do.
As read by Haley Cameron the other night. Rule number 1, there are no rules except the following. Rule number 2, you cannot use weapons unless you are Saraya. Number 3, you must obey the 10 count unless you are Saraya. Number 4, no biting, choking, closed fist, hair pulling, or groin kicking unless you are Saraya. No hammerlocks. No outside interference unless you are a friend of Saraya's. Number 7, no rope breaks unless you are Saraya. Number 8, the match must only begin with offense from Saraya. Number 9, Jamie Hayter is a slag. Number 10, the winner receives an autographed copy of Saraya's autobiography.
So this is how I see it. Saraya gets to hit her one time. Jamie Hayter hits her with the clothesline, puts her down. We're out. We're done.
How does the ref prove that somebody is Saraya's friend?
Well, here's the thing. You've got a
When did the
Saraya
refs
rules
ever
match.
care about the rules? in
Yeah, you've
AEW?
got a well, they don't. Thank you, because they don't care about the rules in AEW. You got a Saraya rules match, which you just read, which is like the Duchess of Queensberry from William Regal versus Jericho back in WWE, and that was stupid. But you notice this is a Texas Tornado Trios match, Jericho and the boys against the Conglomeration. Moving up in the FTW match, that's no disqualification. Moving over, we have a lumberjack strap match. Oh, move up. We're going to get an actual match here between the ladies. Moving across, Moxley versus Darby. No blood, no weapons. Get the fuck out of here. Grand Slam with Rick Knox as the referee for the Bucks. You know that's a Texas Tornado match. And finally, you're going to get a real wrestling match between Nigel and Danielson. So
You'll never
That's
hear me
AEW.
say this again, but go Moxley.
that's AEW.
Go
in a
Moxley.
nutshell. That's a hot take. That is a hot take.
Oh, that's yeah.
Darby Allin has no business anywhere near the AEW championship.
And they're going to put it on him. Within the
I
next
hope so.
within
I've
the
been looking
next
for a reason I've been looking for a reason not to do AEW watch alongs.
within the next 6 months, he's the champ. I would
my
almost bet you $100 right now. And I don't know that they wait that long. I mean, could you imagine if it's Darby Allin that retires Bryan Danielson or defeats him for the title? Get out of here with that nonsense. Speaking of nonsense,
I was just
the
gonna
best
say.
porn stash in AEW, Roddy Strong, is taking on Hook for the FTW title.
Disagree with that hot take. Hangman has got the porn stash down.
Oh, well, you're right. You're right. That's true. But nobody cares about Roderick Strong, and nobody cares about Hook, and nobody cares about the FTW Championship except Tony Khan. Unless
I
you
think
all
it's
care
gonna.
about it.
I think that's a sleeper. That's a sleeper match there. I think.
Oh,
that
because
Roddy-
they match up size-wise and physically, it's going to be a decent match.
Well, I think
but
Roddy
you're-
will pull. I think Roddy's going to pull some stuff out of Hook that Hook may not have ever done.
Well, you're going to have Taven and Bennett interfere too because it's FTW rules. So you're going to get a bunch
Probably.
of monkey crap going on with that match too. If it was a
Hey.
straight-up wrestling match, Dave, I would be thrilled to watch it. But being
But-
that it's FTW,
But there's the obligatory throwing out of the people at ringside. And if it's Aubrey, you know she really wants to wind it up and go out of here. So,
Very good point.
she knows where the camera is. Tell him, Dave.
yeah. I mean, did you see the meme of Cody and Roman from the
Yes!
other night? Somebody put Aubrey in there with their
Oh, it was so good. And we're not going to get to it tonight, but speaking of Cody and Roman, do yourself a favor. Go watch that segment from SmackDown produced by Jeremy Borash, Paul Heyman, and Rob Lee, whatever it is. Totally worth the 6 minutes, I promise. I guess moving on, Hangman, Jeff Jarrett. I don't live in a world where I think Jeff Jarrett beats Hangman here, Dave. That's just not
No.
after that cage match at All Out. There's no way. They build him that high just to bring him down, losing to Jeff Jarrett, which
Yeah.
I get it.
They
You
beat
love
Swerve
Jeff Jarrett.
twice. They beat Swerve twice though.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could happen. It could happen. So,
Who is
but I
this?
mean, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
I just don't. I don't see it happening. I don't. But they got to do something with Hangman too, because the lunatic stuff is getting. We already got one up above him in Moxley that does that. So,
Yeah.
Mariah May does not lose the world title. Does anybody have
No.
any thoughts
No,
on
no.
that match?
No.
not at all.
No.
Just feeding her, I would take it at this point. Okay, the last three, Moxley and Allen. I mean, Moxley's what, 4-0 against Darby? Or 3-0?
I think Darby.
Moxley loses this match. I think
I
Darby
agree.
wins.
Yeah.
Darby is hot right now. They are building him something fierce. I absolutely agree with that.
Did not say I want to see that. Said that's what I think we'll see, just for the record.
I honestly think, and it's not just wishful thinking, I think that Mox is not only going to, I think this is setting him up to screw Darby out of his title shot. Mox isn't going to win clean. I mean, he should win clean.
I could see that too, but yeah.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
This next one is more interesting to me than any of them, other than just because they put Will Ospreay in it. The Bucks are going to have a really good match Wednesday, and it's going to because of Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. It's not going to be because of the Young Bucks. Anybody have any thoughts on this particular match? I think Ospreay and Fletcher win it. I think they take the titles off of them.
I would have no issue with that. That would be fine.
I wouldn't either, but I also think that Okada could interfere, setting up something with Okada and Ospreay.
Yeah, I don't think they do it on a Dynamite either.
Yeah, they both have titles. That's the problem, and they're meaningless. Don't get me wrong; they're meaningless.
No, but they love. I mean, normally you have to have a title to get a title shot. He loves putting champions against champions.
Well, that's just like Sammy Guevara is taking on Okada in an eliminator match. That's the other match. So he's taking him on in an eliminator match for the Continental title.
Eliminator matches are stupid.
I was just going to say, I do not understand eliminator
Guevara
matches.
is, as you both know, a Ring of Honor tag team champion with Dustin Rhodes.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and apparently the bunkhouse match was really good with Taven and
It
Bennett.
really was.
So,
It was.
Hey, can I
Go ahead.
Can I throw a conspiracy theory out?
Yeah.
Sammy
You're the
Guevara's
guest.
on
You do whatever you want.
Sammy Guevara's on this card.
Yes.
Is Mercedes Moné there?
Nope.
No.
You're not connecting any dots that we haven't already connected. I mean,
Okay.
No. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not making any statement that we, haven't already noticed. He's been heavily featured on all the programming, and she's not been anywhere near it.
Yeah, I've noticed, and I'm seeing a trend, because at first I thought the first time that they weren't, Sammy's there, but look, Mercedes isn't. But now I'm seeing a pattern, and I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Sure.
So he's got an eliminator match with Okada, and it may be on the Collision show, or it may be on. I think they put Okada on damn Dynamite, but I don't know for sure.
I hope Sammy wins the match. I need to see an eliminator match where the challenger actually wins, because normally the eliminator. I get mad if you're just going to beat them in the eliminator match.
Why have an
eliminator? Give them
eliminator
the title shot.
Yeah.
I got ahead of myself. They're doing it on the 5th anniversary the next week.
Oh, Dynamite. Okay.
But they're still doing the eliminator. And then remember, Will Ospreay's taking on Ricochet in that night too, regardless of how tomorrow turns out. All right, Danielson, Nigel. It's going to be a great technical wrestling match. Danielson's going to carry the match.
Absolutely.
Nigel hasn't been in the ring in 12 or 13 years thanks to the hepatitis. They haven't announced the match and made it official, but why would you even tease it if they're not going to put him in the ring? Because it's if Danielson is cleared.
No, he's got to be.
Oh yeah, they're going to do it.
That's what I said. Why even tease it though if you're not going to do it? So I think Danielson's going to carry this match. Nigel looked good enough at All In the Battle Royal, but again, he's been out of active wrestling since he was Desmond Wolfe in TNA, and that was 11 to 13
years ago.
Yeah, long time ago at this point.
I think that Danielson's going to do the classic babyface champion, make make Nigel look like $1 million damn dollars, make everybody think Nigel's going to pull it off, and then doesn't.
And remember, the title is not on the line. Or at least it's not explicitly on the line.
All right. We're late. We're running late, boys. What are we gonna go move to next?
All I wanted to do was point out how low ticket sales were at AEW because they're in the process of getting their TBS Warner Brothers deal renewed. Allegedly, $170 million, three years. They're looking at $170 million, 3 years with a 4-year option. Peanuts compared to what WWE's drawing from 3 different platforms at this particular time. But this is I'm just going to read the town and I'll read the ticket sale at this point. Pittsburgh, 2360. Toledo, 1288. Spokane, Washington, 1100. Wrestle Dream, the pay-per-view, 4684. Dynamite, San Jose, 1710. Battle of the Belts in Stockton, California, 1125. Salt Lake, 1026. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 552. And Dynamite in Cleveland, a good sports town, but the mistake on the lake, 992.
Those numbers are concerning if you're a ticket selling. I mean, if you rely on ticket sales for revenue, but AEW is a television product. The arenas are a necessary evil as the background. They don't want to be in soundstage every week. Those shows, then you're just TNA. The only thing that differentiates them is that they can put on these shows in an arena and try to hide that they're not filling them up, but there's more spectacular entrance instead of the soundstage. Like I said, I don't think, for one, profit is not Tony Khan's concern. This is. I mean, he that's the least of his concerns. Good matches are what he wants. So we get tied up in how poorly they draw, but the arenas are a necessary evil for a television product that they need to produce for Warner to get the big contract.
That was my point.
So while it's disheartening, I'd love for the talent to perform in front of more people. And Globe Life Field next year, how do they expect to put asses in seats? They can't fill up the little convention center that they had what do you call it?
Fan
they
Fest?
call it the Eagles have one. The Barry Manilow has one. Billy Joel had one at Madison Square Garden.
A residency?
Residency. They're just
the new kids on the block have one in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, you can only walk. I mean, you can walk to that convention center. It's right across the street, and so what makes you think that you're going to fill up Globe Life Field? Something's got to change. That's going to want to make people come to these arenas. But for as far as producing a television program, it's not necessary, and it upsets us as fans a lot more than it upsets Tony Khan.
Well, here's the one thing about it, and this is just the way I approach my business as a general sales manager. I call it every dollar, every cent. So you look at every single dollar and every single cent that you spend and you make, and you account for it in every single way. He's paying a lot of money to rent those buildings, to your point, Dave. But to your other point is he doesn't look at every dollar, every cent, because this is a passion project. This is his baby. He doesn't care. But, I mean, I don't want to sell 1,500 tickets in the Cleveland Arena. I mean, is that gunned or whatever they call it now? I mean, that's silly. The other thing is WWE is selling the arenas. They're getting the tickets. They're getting the merchandise. They're getting the concessions. They're getting the parking. Then they're getting the television deal. And then, by the way, they're getting all of the online presence and everything else after the fact. So they're hitting on all cylinders, where AEW is, to your point, being
strategic.
Well, no, they're being propped up. I mean, it's essentially a welfare system from the Khan family that is supporting the All Elite Wrestling program and product to the benefit of everybody that works for them.
Right.
That's what I would say. And lastly, do not forget Vince McMahon, the puppet master, Comes out this week, September 25th. 6 parts, 1 hour. I sent this to the group chat.
Must be bad. Vince is selling.
Yeah, Vince is selling, and this is what Dave means. This is a text, or a tweet, excuse me. I don't regret participating in the Netflix documentary. The producers had an opportunity to tell an objective story about my life and the incredible business I built, which we were equally filled with excitement, drama, fun, and a fair amount of controversy and life lessons. Unfortunately, based on an early partial cut I've seen, the doc falls short and takes the predictable path of conflating the Mr. McMahon character with my true self, Vince. The title and promos alone make that evident. A lot has been misrepresented or left out entirely in an effort to leave viewers intentionally confused. The producers are typically editing tricks without context footage, data, sound bites to distort viewers' perception and support of a deceptive narrative. In an attempt to further their misleading account, the producers use a lawsuit based on an affair I ended as evidence that I am, in fact, Mr. McMahon. I hope the viewer will keep an open mind and remember there are two sides to every story. Vince, you be fucked. That's what I just read.
No Diddy, Vince.
No, but he's on Diddy's VIP list, and I said that earlier, and I meant it. But if
Diddy said, "Hold my beer."
72 hours in advance or 48 hours in advance of this hitting Netflix, if he is already putting that statement out, that particular statement,
I will binge watch this from beginning to
Chris
end
Smith
as
and
soon as it drops.
Bill Simmons did HBO 30 for 30, or ESPN 30 for 30, and he did the Andre story. You're dealing with very good Hollywood producers. This is going to be a fantastic series. It's going to be a shit show. And I believe it's 100% Vince.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what we're going to see. Is Vince McMahon and Vince, the character, are not different people. They are one and the same.
Did we lose the producer here?
She froze.
She did.
I thought, oh, God. She'll be back.
But you know what would be good to go along with watching this
well, not if you're going to read parts of his lawsuit, it won't be. That makes you queasy on the stomach as it is, Terrence.
Well, anyway, I'm going to use that as an excuse because tonight we're going to talk about top 10 fast food burgers, and we're talking about the chains themselves. And let's run it down, and hopefully the producer comes back pretty soon and she can get involved here. But why don't we start it up, guys? Number 10, McDonald's, coming in at number 10. Solid.
As a burger?
Yeah.
I think I voted for McDonald's probably, or I can't remember exactly. I can tell you who number 1 and number 2 are, and then the rest don't matter.
Right.
I think I gave McDonald's down around number 6 or 7.
Allison says her Wi-Fi died, just FYI, guys, so we may not see her back. Not sure. But McDonald's on the well, Dave, you don't know this. This was the fun part me and Allison were going to have with Terry. I don't eat an absorbent amount of fast food. I think it's overpriced, and my food is better at home. So I don't eat a lot of fast food. I don't think McDonald's makes a quality burger that belongs on this list. And I know we have a friend that would disagree with us, but to me, the McDonald's is the chicken sandwich and it's the French fries, and it's not one of their double cheeseburgers. It's not their quarter pounder, which it's not their Big Mac, except that's their signature burger. So,
well, I think the quarter pounder is by far the best burger they have.
The good part about McDonald's burgers is that you can eat them while you're driving and not get them all over the front seat of your car.
That's true.
Now that's true. Unless you remember the Big and Tasty. Do you happen to remember that one?
The Big and Nasty. Yeah.
Now, I used to call it the Fat and Sassy, but the Big and Tasty, that one had like mayonnaise and ketchup, and they always made sure to squirt that shit really heavy on your burger. So you go to bite it and you just wear it. You end up wearing it. I needed a bib.
But the chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets with hot mustard, that's a go-to. Because I mean, when I eat at McDonald's, it's because I'm driving.
Yeah.
And not wanting to get it all over the car. It's contained. It's normally, it's decent.
So what's your burger at McDonald's, Dave? If you get a burger, what burger are you getting at McDonald's?
I used to go with the double meat cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gone to the double meat quarter pounder and added bacon. And it's been hitting real hard for me lately.
It's good.
I honestly am a Big Mac guy if I'm going to get a burger from McDonald's. That's what most of the time I just go with the chicken sandwich.
Well, the Big Mac
I go with
doesn't hold up when you're eating it in the car.
No, because it's got all that lettuce and shit on it.
But no, what I'm saying is
slides right off.
But I ate a Big Mac recently and forgot how much I liked Big Macs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have time to pull over and eat it, I will get a Big Mac now. But normally I go with the double meat quarter pounder with bacon and cheese.
Yeah, I like more meat.
Yeah.
And
Dave ain't screwed around. Did you hear him? He said double McQuarter twice, Terry.
That's right.
Hey,
that's what I get. He knows what he's talking about. Let's go to number 9.
What's number 9?
That is In-N-Out, which I've had once, maybe twice, and I liked it. People talk it up real big.
There's 2 In-N-Outs. If you eat In-N-Out in California, it's a different experience than eating In-N-Out in Texas.
I ate In-N-Out in Las Vegas and thought it was fabulous. I had the double.
It was good in Vegas.
Yeah.
Very good. My first time eating was in Vegas, but it's even better in California.
I think I had it in Colorado.
All right.
But the one in Texas is,
Back up just a second. Allison.
Yes.
Your go-to burger at McDonald's, it was number 10. And then we're going to go to In-N-Out. Yeah. What's your go-to burger at McDonald's? Everybody wants to know.
McDonald's over here.
Oh,
By
mine?
everybody, I mean me.
It's the McDouble.
The McDouble. There you go. Dave was saying McDonald's burgers make it easy to eat on the road. Yeah. So, In-N-Out is number 9, and that's shameful. That's shameful.
No.
Well, you're really going to find it shameful when you see one of these that's in front of it.
When I was in Vegas in 2019, they had a line like wrapped all the way around. Them guys ain't dicking around when they're putting them burgers on that flat grill. They're just
What was it that you pointed out to me in the car in Vegas? And I was like, there's a miniature Statue of Liberty and a roller coaster.
Raising Cane's.
Raising Cane's chicken, baby. Yeah, it was Raising Cane's. They had a Raising Cane's right next to New York, New York.
That cane sauce is something serious. I like it.
They just
according to my Instagram reels, you can get a 20-ounce cup of it to dip your shit in.
All right, next. What's next?
Number 8 is Hardee's.
Nope.
And I know it's. I said I need more meat, and they have more meat, but I just don't know. I liked Hardee's better before they went with the thick burgers. When they were trying to mimic the old Burger King
with the flame grilled.
Yeah, charbroiled. Yeah,
that was good stuff.
Well,
I like a Hardee's burger if I'm going to get a burger. I'm not going to get chicken at Hardee's. I'm going to get a burger.
To be fair, we don't have them up north, so
you have Carl's Jr. because it's the same company.
No, that's out west.
But Carl's Jr. is a higher quality Hardee's.
It's different.
It's the same company, but it's a higher quality.
And their menus aren't the same. That's why I split them on the list, because I put Checkers and Rally's together because they are the same menu with a different name. Right. Hardee's and Carl's Jr. are different enough that I made them different.
Yeah, typically my go-to at Hardee's is the Frisco. I don't think you can go wrong with, and you can't get that anywhere else. I mean, you can get a quarter pounder anywhere else you want to get a burger. Not everywhere else has a Frisco. And Allison's shaking her head. She's like, nope.
Next.
I don't even like their breakfast. People rave about their breakfast.
What?
I just don't go to Hardee's.
You don't like their biscuits?
Yeah, the bologna biscuit.
No, I'm good.
Definitely
bologna
not.
biscuit, the pork chop.
Oh, my father would love that.
Steak biscuit.
George would be all over that.
We'll do a breakfast. We'll do a fast food breakfast list at some point.
And I will yell at everyone that has eggs on it. I'll be like, "Nope, you're wrong. Nope."
Number 7 is Whataburger, and Dave's going to tell us why we're wrong here.
Oh, because this is Dave's number 1 right here.
Is this Texas versus everywhere else, Dave? Because
you know what I said. What I said about In-N-Out Burger, I'm going to say about Whataburger.
Yeah,
Whataburger in Texas is different than Whataburger in Mississippi.
Yeah.
But when I came across the Mississippi River Bridge in 2010 to move here, I saw a billboard that at the third exit that there was a Whataburger, and I knew I was going to be okay.
I've never Florida for the first time, and I liked it. But when they put one here, I ate at it a couple of times, and I just haven't been back.
38 years on this planet, I've never eaten at Whataburger. So
Their
I
French
have
fries are excellent. They give you ketchup in a cup.
We'll go. We'll go to Texas, Andrew, and we'll go.
The
we need to text.
completely different burger in Texas than it is
Yeah.
anywhere else, though. But I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good here. What's great about it is that you can have it any way you want it. I go with the number 2, which is double meat Whataburger with cheese. I get grilled onions. I get grilled jalapenos. I get a large order of fries, water size it with a Dr. Pepper. And then I ask for 2 regular ketchups and 1 spicy ketchup.
He ain't dicking around. That's
No,
why
I eat the fries. I eat the fries first while they're still hot. I dip it in the regular ketchup. And when that cup's gone, I go to the spicy. Then I finish up with the regular. And by that time, everything, the burger has melted everything. The juices have soaked in. And that's when it's time to get it. You do not ever want to complete. You don't ever want to immediately take the paper off Whataburger and go to town on it before it's had a time to do it soaking and melting.
Okay.
See, that's why this was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning things, number 1. Number 2, I also learned that Allison thinks going to Whataburger will be a good reason to put on my PTO request at work. What do y'all do? We're flying to Texas to go to Whataburger.
It's like you've never met me. You're going to give me an excuse? I'm going to say, let's get on a plane. Let's go.
And there's a secret menu.
Yes.
And I found out
In-N-Out has it too.
I got an egg on my Whataburger once because I could. And the woman asked me when I asked for it, she had to go ask if she could do that and found out she could. And it was okay, but I try not to venture out on the menu.
that means we need to go to number 6.
All right.
Number 6, Cookout.
What is that?
There you go.
Cookout.
It's not better than Whataburger, but it's
150 items on their menu.
It's
and
adequate.
You get like 10 of them for $5.
Yeah,
it's $7.99 now in the large tray. Okay. I've been told by my nephew.
That's not bad.
He goes there twice a week. I shit you not. He goes. He
goes to sides. You can get like chicken fingers as sides, or like an extra cheeseburger or something.
Quesadillas.
There's normally a college or a community college really close to them.
Okay. Makes sense.
When I go to Cookout, I get the corn dog gimmick as the side, legitimately, because I love a corn dog. Seriously.
Hell, he says he doesn't eat much.
I know, he knows a lot.
He goes to
big liar.
Really lowbrow Cookout.
It's barely better. It's barely better than a high school cafeteria, but it hits really hard when you're hungry, and it doesn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah, and when I used to smoke a lot of dope, Cookout was the place to go.
Truth.
Taco Bell for some of us, Cookout for the others.
Taco John's, ma'am. We'll have that argument some other day.
Oh, we're gonna have to have that. Food. We can't do food every week.
Nope.
Number 5.
Burger
oh my King. And I removed my hands from the button on this. This is the one. Okay, let me just say this. Burger King 10 years ago was way better than Burger King today.
Agree.
Uh-oh.
I have a thought on this too, but our guest needs to go first.
This is kind of like it varies by location.
Okay.
Their burgers are good. It just depends on who prepares them. Like I know when we exit on exit 69 in Louisiana heading towards Texas, that Burger King hits hard. And they'd have the 2 for $5 Whoppers, and they used to do one in a longer
So we got to go on that route to get there, Alex.
I'm telling you that, like, I know that there's a Burger King in Clinton that's 9 times out of 10 pretty good, and there's a Burger King in Vicksburg, Mississippi that's 9 out of 10 times not very good. If you need a laxative, that's your place.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I go to the Burger King for the onion rings, not for the burgers. So,
but if you'll go and I like the chicken fries.
Yeah,
chicken fries.
They're stupid expensive.
They're little chicken nuggets that are like really cheap. Chicken nuggets are surprisingly good. I ranked Burger King over McDonald's and Wendy's.
What's wrong with you people?
But I mean,
10 years ago, I would have agreed with you, Dave. I think they've kind of gone downhill.
Yeah,
maybe it may just be the ones that I go to.
Now, the Burger King used to creep me out. I don't think that those were productive productive commercials. I mean, when Burger King was laying on the bed waiting for that woman to open her eyes, that was freaking creepy.
Hardee's
Or
did a
the woman's
similar-
in there washing dishes and she looks up and Burger King's at the window. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's not that's not good advertising.
Yeah,
I
that
don't-
does
I
not
don't wanna-
make me want to go in the door.
I don't want
Yeah.
a stalker. I don't need another stalker. Thank you. I'm good.
Another.
I've had
Another.
plenty. I've had plenty. Trust me. All right. What's next?
And with
We're
that,
running out
number
of time.
4, we got Steak and Shake. And we debated putting this on there or not. Is it fast food? And we said, let's just open it up.
But I agreed with you when you said your Steak and Shake has a drive-through because
Yeah.
I've never known one to have a drive-through. So I would agree with you. This is a fast food. You could sit or you could go. I personally love this place. Unfortunately for my father, it is like you said, I can't call you Pondwater. You're Super Dave. It's a natural laxative for him. This place does not sit well with him, and I love it. They have those really thin burgers, don't they?
They do, and I don't like
Yeah.
them.
See, I like that.
But the
I'm
shakes
okay.
are excellent.
Shakes are
The
absolutely.
shakes are excellent.
hmm
I think
All
their
right.
fries, don't they have really
They have the really
Tiny
skinny fries.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. They get nice and crispy when they're hot. But we didn't do fries. That's another show.
that's enough.
The place
Will-
I
will-
We got a
will-
huge list.
Let me ask you: will you dip one of those? Will you dip the skinny fries in your shake?
I have never tried that. Somebody asked me, Frank asked me if I dip my fries in my Frosty, and I said, no, I've never tried it. So apparently-
absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, so I have to
Yes,
try that. Yeah.
yes.
The fries at Wendy's are too big to dip in a Frosty, but those little fries at Steak and
Mhm.
Shake,
Oh, yeah.
they hit. I do that
Okay.
at Freddy's also.
Okay.
I've never
Freddy's
eaten a
good.
Steak and Shake, so you can put that one on the list
Oh
too.
wow!
Oh.
we gotta take him to these places.
There's one in Vegas.
Number 3, Wendy's.
Okay.
Meh.
I'd rather
And
have the chicken
Honestly,
sandwich.
to me at Wendy's, I wish they had more flavor on the meat.
Yes.
So people laugh at me, but I actually like Wendy's chili. I think Wendy's chili is
Yes.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Why don't they put that on a burger?
Well, because that's yesterday's burgers.
Who cares? It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get
Yeah,
you.
my thing is
I
on
get
Wendy's,
you. That's funny.
mine for Wendy's is the Baconator, of course. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Cheese,
become
bacon,
that's
egg.
become when I
Agreed.
Now the classic was fine, you know. And the other thing is, I'm more of a chicken than burger guy anyway. We eat fast food, so I end up going to Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich because that one is hard to beat. It really is.
how
But their
many
fries
patties
are
do you go?
mid. The Frosties are okay. But ever since Wendy's changed their fries, I'm old enough to remember the yellow box. Okay,
Mhm.
yellow box, and
Mhm.
we went to natural sea salt fries and all that shit. It just doesn't hit the same.
Nope. What's number
And
2?
it's also mortgage your house to feed the family
This
when
is
you
true.
go to Wendy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got
Man,
money.
I can't go to Wendy's and eat $13 damn for a double meat baconator, a large fry, and a large drink.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Used to
I'm
be able
sad
to
that
eat
we didn't get
everything.
any sliders on the list. We didn't.
Used to
get
be able to eat
didn't?
everything on that menu for less than $10.
We're getting down to the end here.
Oh,
White
yeah.
Castle and Crystal didn't make it.
No.
Do you
Oh,
okay at Wendy's? How do y'all go? Single, double, triple?
Usually a
Usu-
double.
usually
The
a double.
Baconator. So usually
Yeah,
the
a
Baconator
single.
or the double.
Double.
A single gets overtaken by the bun and
Mhm.
and the dressing. The 2 buns is perfect, and 3 is way too many.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed.
Randy
Number 2.
Elkeriz's got a good point over here, and I
What's he
never
say?
considered it either.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
is
it is.
We,
Gotta
so
be in.
we didn't do regional places because if we had, I would have put an All American on this list. If
Yeah.
anybody who goes to Long Island knows All American, best burgers you're gonna
Ron-
have.
Ron's is a chain. It's a chain. It's an ice cream parlor. It's an ice cream parlor, soda fountain, hamburgers. They do them in they don't do half pounders, quarter pounders. They do thirds.
Oh,
Third
okay.
They do third
Interesting.
pounders.
All right.
And they sell like they got milk and bread, and I mean it's just I mean and it hits real hard. So
All right, one more to add to the list there. We're going to be busy traveling all over to get
The
the
places I
cheeseburger.
haven't eaten. Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 2, and this is my number 1, Culver's.
oh Jesus.
You don't like
Never eaten
Culver's,
there.
huh? I love it.
The butter
I had
burger does not hit for me.
I had it for the first time in Chicago, and it was good.
Yeah, I love it.
38 years on this planet, I've made it without eating at Culver's, and I'll probably make it another 38 if I don't think about it.
And I want
No
to
offense
like
to
it.
anybody who likes Culver's.
I want to like it. And Freddy's is the same. It's a butter burger.
Yeah, I put Culver's over. We got both down here, but I do put Culver's over Freddy's.
All right. Number
All right.
one.
And number one is Five Guys. And this is another one, kind of like when I said Wendy's needs to have more flavor on the meat. Five Guys gets the same way. I'm just eating a big hunk of meat. There's a lot of meat there, but just not getting a lot of flavor from it.
Could not agree more.
This is not a fast food restaurant.
We had that debate too, yeah.
This is like Chili's.
No.
This is like Chili's that you got to take a mortgage out to go eat there.
They have a drive-through.
Okay.
Ours doesn't, but yeah.
Hey, yeah, Chili's does too. You drive up and they'll bring it out to you.
Alex says Five Guys was his number one. I mean, it had to be somebody's, obviously.
Spoiler, I've never eaten at Five Guys.
They have one.
Here's something that I would like to do. Anybody that's been to Five Guys knows that they have like a little board that tells you the city that their fries came from that day. I've always wanted to go. Well, I've always wanted to show up and say, order some food, and they go, "Do you want fries?" And look over and say, "Not from Sugar City."
I love it. All right, let's recap quickly.
Run it down, Terry. Run it down.
Top 10 fast food burger chains. Number 10, McDonald's. Number 9, In-N-Out. Number 8, Hardee's. Number 7, Whataburger. Number 6, Cookout. Number 5, Burger King. Number 4, Steak and Shake. Number 3, Wendy's. Number 2, Culver's. And number 1, Five Guys.
I'm disappointed that Carl's Jr. wasn't on the list because Carl's Jr. is better than Hardee's.
We are
but I also know that there's more Hardee's than Carl's Jr.'s.
And we have a lot more viewers and listeners on the eastern side of the United States and the West.
That's true.
Yeah. But I love CKE as a company, especially the Carl's Jr. side. And they've changed, but they used to be genius on how they marketed. Because let me tell you, there's nothing healthy about Carl's Jr. Nothing. And they don't care. They don't care that they're not healthy. They don't care if women eat there. Well, they do now. But in 2009 and 2010, when my truck stop had a Carl's Jr. and I bought into the concept that they're marketing to men that are eating hamburgers that aren't good for them. They didn't care how many calories, they didn't care how much fat. And here's how they marketed them. They would make commercials like Paris Hilton, half naked, washing a car. And they'd run the commercial just once. Then the women's groups got all up in arms and everybody went to YouTube to watch the commercials. Genius marketing. They relied on the outrage to push the product because they didn't care if a woman came in and ate it or not.
Nope.
All the meats, and you get the drip, like the jalapeno burger was one they did with the model or whatever. And it's Dave's point. It aired like 2 or 3 times, and you got this burger dripping. It's dripping.
They relied on the outrage.
Yeah. And they do the whole sexual overtone. It was perfect. It's great.
Kathy Ireland. They did so many.
Well, and here's the other thing that made the marketing so memorable, as you know, Dave. Or so good, we remember it. You remember the commercial. That's what makes that marketing so good and effective.
And then they decided it was time to calm all that down, and they did like a long commercial. And you can go find it. I think they aired the long commercial where Carl Sr. showed back up to take it back over from Carl Jr. And when he came in, like Carl Jr. was in a hot tub with 3 women or something. Like. Doing that's
way better than the Burger King.
All the Charlie Sheen stuff, it's like Carl came in and said, "We're going to be serious about this again," and that's when they calmed it all down. You can go to YouTube and find it. I suggest anybody go down that rabbit hole and go look at CKE's advertising over the years.
Let's wrap up here.
So what do we got on the RAM Network this week? Get it, Andrew.
The RAM Network. 1982 from our boys at Filter Free Popcast. And they are talking about a poisoning on aspirin or Tylenol
Oh yeah,
in their
do you remember
deep
that?
dive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a bunch. I do not remember that. I was born December 2nd, 1985. For those of you who want to buy me a birthday present.
Hey, it's Terry's birthday next week. This week?
Yep.
This week.
The hot September, Steve Carlton, Nolan Ryan duel it out to be named king. George Thorogood drops bad to the bone. Knight Rider premieres, and the Chicago Tylenol murders is the deep dive for the guys at Filter Free Popcast. Talking Rasslin, Dave, you're here. Tell us what we're going to hear tomorrow with you and Amy.
We're going to have Mike Dawkins, the gimmick attorney. We're going to talk. We're going to let everybody know the difference between a copyright and a trademark. We're going to have. I've got some fun scenarios I want to throw at him about copyright, about trademark names. But can be used in a wrestling space. It can be used in a different space. Mike's always good. And he's a good friend, so we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time with Dawkins. We're also going to cover. Me and Amy are going to talk about controversial songs. But there's some fun. I mean, there's some fun to them. I mean, Amy didn't understand the assignment, and she went hardcore controversy. I'm like, you're 16, you're beautiful in your mind. So
she doesn't have to do it.
But no, I think it's gonna be a fun topic, and we're gonna cover a little wrestling news. We're toying with the format now that we're a 2-man booth, and we're gonna start an hour early. We're gonna do it different. We're gonna start at 6 Central, 7 Eastern, and our guest will join us in the second hour. Instead of kicking off with the guest, we're gonna work up to the guest.
Nice. Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
World class flashback. Dave, are Von Erich still fighting the Freebirds?
They are, but they're also fighting gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. The next episode that will drop sometime this week is going to have David Von Erich and Jimmy Garvin for the Texas title.
Allison.
Yes.
And Dave actually had a perm. What was that shit in the 80s they put on their hair? Because Jimmy Garvin should have been sponsored by it.
Stiff stuff or Soul Glow?
It's Soul Glow. That's it. Yeah, Jimmy Garvin has Soul Glow in his days at World Championship Wrestling or World Class Championship Wrestling.
I just put water in my perm.
Well, look at Jimmy Garvin's though.
I spray it. I had a spray bottle. I'd spray it down, and then I took my little pick that had the little fist on it.
Not even. Nope.
You would rate Jimmy Garvin's hair in 1983 10 out of 10. Legit. Like, I am not making that up.
It worked for Jimmy. I mean,
fabulous.
And on Ballers, for all the degenerates that listen to us, that's handicapping college and pro football. We would never accuse Dave and Tim of stealing our gimmick, Terry. And that's what we're talking about in the second hour of this show. Football preview, post view. But they do handicap the games and tell you what to bet on and what don't to bet on. And as a reminder to everyone, always take the under with Iowa. That's a rule. Always take the under. That's it for us on the first hour of TNA Top 10.
All right. Well, let me wrap it up real quick so we can get to the second show. Thank you, Dave, for being on this show. He will be on the next show with us talking football. Thanks, as always, Allison and Andrew. And as always, love your people. Tell them you love them. Make it weird. We'll see you next time, everybody. Hello and welcome to TNA Top 10 Football Show, Week 4. We got a guest with us tonight, Andrew. We got Pondwater Dave on with us. And let's go ahead and unmute you, Andrew, so that you can. Are we battling each other with the mute button again? Is that what was
I think
happening?
you did that. Yeah. All I was going to say is somebody told me that we have an Alabama fan in the house and they might have a big game later this week.
Roll Tide.
It's what I heard, Terry. It's what I heard.
Are we going to talk about that one? Was that on the list this week? I don't remember.
I made the list. I'm pretty sure I put it on there, but I don't know.
Did I ignore it, though? I don't know. Sometimes I do.
Yeah, that's the one thing, Dave. This could be a rib that I put it on the list, and Terry, because he's an Auburn fan, left it off the list. So that's where we get hashtag blame Terry.
Well, look at my headline, War Eagle anyway. That's all I got to say.
Well, Stephanie told me that, and I'm glad that we're not talking about Ole Miss because she wanted me to say hotty toddy, and I said that's not in my wheelhouse. There will be no
Ole Miss. They're probably on the list.
There will be no roll tide. I mean, there will be no hotty toddy from me. I mean, the best you're going to get out of me is fins up, because hotty toddy sounds.
Well, we do have them in the preview of the Week 5 games, but we won't get to that quite yet. Why don't we talk about Week 4 and not the games yet, but we got some other stuff going on in college football. We talked about Pac-12 expansion. But I think it's more solid now. The Pac-12 has introduced 4 new teams from the Mountain West, and they're going after more.
Yeah. Well, you can't be a Pac-12 without 12, but you certainly can't be a conference when there's only 2 of you left, Washington State and Oregon State. And despite the fact Washington State is undefeated, so good, they won the Pac-12, congratulations. Who'd you beat? What's it matter? It doesn't. So they need to have as much as they can running forward, and that means picking up the Boise State or picking up the Nevada or picking up any of those available teams. I think Colorado State was mentioned. Is that right, Terry?
Yeah, I think so. I know that there's been a little bit of response from the AAC, the American Conference. They went after some teams, I think from Conference USA, in anticipation that the Pac-12 was going to start coming for whatever teams they could get. So the American Conference might be saying, hold up, Pac-12, we're here and we want to be relevant again.
Well, and in 3 years, you won't recognize conference football anyway. You won't be able to say definitively they played in this conference and that conference. So because you won't remember.
Right.
Yeah, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno, Colorado State, but also Utah, UNLV, and Air Force are in flux.
Yeah, Utah State, not Utah, because Utah, as I predicted, took care of some business this weekend, Terry. But I thought they were going to lose because they did it without my man, but we'll get there. Cam Rising.
I think there are good teams out there that they could get, and honestly, I would like to see them try to get Stanford and Cal back. I mean, Stanford and Cal being in the ACC is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the ACC teams that got beat would agree with that.
They picked up, and on the basketball front, they picked up Gonzaga.
Pac-12 did?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we don't think about anything.
They've always been what, American or something? Gonzaga, something?
I'm not sure where they came from, but they don't have football teams, so
yeah, they don't. They're a basketball school.
Well,
we say that a lot.
There's a ton of conferences in basketball. Yeah,
they're a basketball school. Terry, tell us about Bo Wallace shitting on Hugh Freeze.
Okay, so
wow.
So I will. We'll get into some of the reasons for this later, obviously, when we go over the game. But, Hugh Freeze's response to losing another game with a lot of interceptions was similar to the Cal game, where he was saying, we got to find a guy. And Bo Wallace, I guess it brought back memories for him, and he just shit all over Hugh Freeze on Twitter. And argued with Auburn fans and everything. And he's not impressed. He said, in his opinion, and I'm paraphrasing, he's out for Hugh Freeze's interests, and he doesn't care about the interests of the players at all. And that's what Bo Wallace said.
Yeah, he said, while my body was breaking down. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Because somebody had posted that Hugh Freeze blocked them on Twitter, and Bo said that he probably wouldn't notice it because and then he goes, that man, when I could barely walk, and he ran me into the ground and wasn't there for me, and I mean he had nothing good to say about Hugh Freeze.
Right. And he's not the only one. Obviously, when the hire was made, a lot of people hated it. A lot of times though, and this happened at Alabama too. This is not Auburn's doing it. Alabama did it, but there's a lot of guys that have done some shady things in college football, and they'll get second chances or whatever. So that's a lot of us said, maybe this is Hugh Freeze's second chance. Some people combated that with it's more like his fifth or sixth chance. But there's still some people that just despise Hugh Freeze, and he's not helping himself with some of the things he says.
Worse than that, and we'll get to it. The on play is not justifying his presence at Auburn.
The exact quote was, "I probably will be too. I won't notice though." That's in response to being blocked. He goes, "All that guy did was break my body in half, and I played every game getting a numbing shot just to get him his money. Then I graduate and can't do anything to benefit him, and he hasn't helped me one time. That's the truth."
Yikes.
Well, I'll say this as an Auburn fan before we move on. There's a lot of Auburn fans looking back at the firing of Gus Malzahn and looking at where we've been since then and saying, are we sure we should have done that?
Particularly since Central Florida opens as the favorite later this week at 3-0, Terry. So
and who are they playing?
He's got his quarterback. Is it Florida?
They're playing Colorado, aren't they?
Or they're playing Colorado. That's right. Yeah. Colorado, excuse me.
I was trying to do a segue there for you.
I should have set that up better because old Coach Prime got the win in overtime against Baylor. So everybody settle down just a minute. This is not the Art
Baylor
Briles
sure has
Baylor.
fallen from grace.
This is not the Art Briles Baylor. Rapey allegations aside, this is not the Matt Rule Baylor that went 11-3. This is the Baylor that is and forever will be the doormat of the Big 12.
This is more like the Kevin Steele Baylor.
Yeah, this is the terrible Baylor. And the bad thing is Dave Aranda is a fantastic defensive coach.
He is
but
wonderful.
Defensive coaches don't always make good head coaches, as we've seen over and again. But with Baylor, it took a Hail Mary at the end. It took Travis Hunter with a strip fumble there at the 1-yard line in overtime, and they got it done. So their players showed up, and they played, and they win. And then the fans stormed the field like they had just beat, I don't know, Utah, USC, whoever, some big team, because they don't have any class in Boulder. And here's what I'm going to say about it, because I think it's Thug Bug University. I think they're thugging and bugging there in Colorado. They're not the fucking U of the 1980s, despite the fact they think they are. So like Hugh Freeze, Terry, you can forgive some of his personality flaws if he's winning football games.
Right, but he's not.
In Colorado, like Miami, the reason the criminals were tolerated in South Beach for so long is they won national championships.
Right.
They ain't doing that in Boulder. But what they are doing is alienating a fan base, a city, a community. I stick by my early prediction that Deion Sanders will not be in Colorado come the end of the year.
He's talking about going to the playoff, Andrew. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Nebraska has a better chance of making the playoffs. Shit. But
why don't we get into the game?
You hear them, Dave. They're talking. The babies are talking tonight.
We have more than 3 people on the show. Well, people maybe. Anyway, whatever.
Well, they're
more than 3 boys.
They're unattended and they're in there fussing and fighting and probably chewing up every damn thing and crapping everywhere. And Teppy will get home and I'll have to listen to that. It'll just be something.
We should have had Dave on for the dog rankings.
Yeah. I'd like to kick their asses out of the house. Uh-oh. Oh,
Tennessee at Oklahoma.
He wrote a check to Oklahoma. We don't talk about this one.
Tennessee wins 25-15, and it wasn't that close.
Sometimes it's boomer and sometimes it's bummer.
Yeah. So 25-15. Tennessee won this game from the start.
Yeah.
They're
I
good.
caught some of this, and one of the things that we had said, and we're not super geniuses. We are just very avid football fans. I had questioned the integrity of the offensive line, Terry. It's pretty clear when you have 36 attempts at rush, 1.1 yards, or 36 rushing yards,
Yeah.
1.1 a carry. They weren't getting it done against Tennessee's front.
Right.
And then you've got the interception and the 2 fumbles. You bench your starting quarterback. All of those things you don't want to do in the opening week of SEC football play at home.
Right.
So Oklahoma's got some stuff to figure out. They rightfully fell out of the top 10. Maybe they fell out of the top 10 in this poll. Tennessee beat a team with a pulse.
Right.
But they beat an overrated team that I said last week's highest rating should be 10.
They controlled the line and put pressure on them.
Right.
Yeah. But they're not a better team than that in my mind, Dave. I don't know what you think. I don't think Oklahoma is better than 10 in any poll and will not be by the end of the season.
Oh yeah, this is exactly why Lincoln Riley dick-tucked and ran to California, because he knew what was coming when they joined the SEC. It's just that my perception of Tennessee has always been doing jobs in the SEC, much like Baylor. I remember back when Baylor used to do, they were the jobber for the Southwest Conference. So,
and the Big 12, like if you had Baylor on your schedule, you knew you were going to win. That was the thing. Everybody beat Baylor.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody beat Baylor.
And then they got, like Tennessee, they occasionally had a good year. And I thoroughly thought that Oklahoma was going to go in there and have a good showing, and they didn't. And now I'm concerned for what's going on in Norman. But,
luckily they got at Auburn this week, so that'll help.
Yeah, well, we say that, but coming up in a few weeks, they're going to play the Texas OU game, and they could go in and upset Texas.
Yeah, highly unlikely. But
well, you never know, though. I mean, that's just the thing. And it's always it's a schedule killer for the University of Texas. Sometimes when they're really good, they'll lose to Oklahoma. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think Texas is the best team in the country, but it could happen.
One thing I don't approve of in this particular football game is it didn't look like Tennessee had the killer instinct they needed. They settled for field goals too often. You can't settle for field goals in real SEC play. We knew Oklahoma getting introduced to the SEC was going to be ugly for them. And I think that Heifel has a great offense. I think he's got a better than expected defense. Terry and I said that maybe their ceiling early on in the preseason was 9 wins, but that was because of their schedule. I mean, they have Georgia and Alabama on this schedule. Tennessee does.
It's crowded at the top of the SEC,
but it's going to be very crowded at the top. I think Heifel's got a great team. I think he's got the 9 to 10 win possibility. But I think they've got to finish. You can't fumble the ball twice against good teams, and you can't leave points on the field. And that's going to be a theme tonight. Terry, what's our next football game?
Our next game, I went with USC and Michigan, and this game, it went back and forth. Michigan was up early. USC stormed back, and Michigan squeaked it out at the end there.
I picked USC to win in the Big House because Michigan looked so awful last week against Arkansas State, and then got rolled by Texas. Completely surprised. But look at that. 12 attempts to pass by Michigan is all.
Yeah.
They
did that a couple of times last year.
52, though, by SC.
Right.
You talk about a difference.
52, but they didn't even get 300 yards passing.
Yeah.
What was that, Dave?
Look at the rushing yards. I mean,
so the rushing for SC was negative into the first half. At the end of the first half, they had negative 14 yards or something. And I mean, Michigan, you talk about line of scrimmage. They were just controlling the clock, controlling the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage. They were doing old Michigan football that became more, prototypical of what you've seen under Harbaugh. But you can't pass the ball 7 times and complete 7 and get 32 yards. That's not going to work any more than you pass it 52 times and get 283 yards. That doesn't work either. So SC is not going to be able to stand back there against the best defenses in the country, be that the Oregons or the Ohio States, hell, the Nebraskas when they play them, Illinois. They're not going to be able to stand back there and throw 52 times because they're going to kill that quarterback if they do that. So this was their first game, and they're hosting their first game in the Big Ten in the Coliseum this week.
Yeah, so somebody's going to stop that run. I think Michigan, they go to play defense, control the line of scrimmage, run the football, which we like.
Yep.
But there's plenty of teams in the Big Ten and elsewhere that are going to stop that from happening. USC.
Well, and the problem is SC can't run the ball, and their defense is much, much, much improved, but is still not a top-tier defense. If they can't run the ball in November in Big Ten country, they're going to have issues.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the third. I'm just thrilled that Lincoln Riley got a loss.
And with that, let's move to the third game. We got
Speaking
North Carolina State
at
Clemson, and Dabo. You want to know he is criticized constantly about not buying in to the transfer portal, but he's making it happen. They ain't going away.
This might be the best football team in the ACC. And,
I think it is. I mean, Miami's right there. I think that's top two.
I always forget Miami, damn it.
I try to forget Miami, but always.
45-7 going into halftime in Clemson. The Wolfies always play Clemson tough. They did not Saturday. And those 21 points NC State got in was against the second-team defense and even the third-team defense. Even the third-team defense there in Clemson. So none of that is impressive to me. What is impressive is that Clemson took that big-ass whooping from Georgia. They've come back and they beat App State, a very good App State football team, but they handed it to them. They handed it, obviously, to Wolfpack here. And any doubt about the offense and the status of the offense at Clemson probably gets wiped away when you put 523 total yards, 59 points, and let's face it, guys, we know they took the foot off the gas pedal when they were up 45-0.
They did that in three quarters.
Yeah. So, Dave, do you have any thoughts on Clemson?
I think that everybody was getting down on Dabo. Which I thought was kind of, they weren't showing him any respect. I mean, year in and year out, he puts a pretty good team out on the field, and I mean, this week, I don't know how good of an opponent North Carolina State was.
We're beginning to wonder because when we previewed the show, we thought North Carolina State was going to be one of those dangerous teams because you overlook them.
Right.
But they had trouble with Western Carolina. They got smoked by Tennessee. They got smoked by Clemson. The defense seems to be the big problem. But you turn the ball over 3 times, you're not going to win a football game anyway.
Now that's
3.
fact.
That's nothing.
And they scored 35 points on them, so they're not horrible. I mean,
right.
I mean, most of your games that you're supposed to win and you score 59 points, you don't normally give up more than, no more than 10. So,
yeah, I think it was fairly lopsided, but I see your point. They obviously moved the ball. They scored on them. I hope Dabo was getting his second teamers in because, quite frankly, after it was 45-7, I quit paying attention to this football game, especially down there in Death Valley. They're not going to give they're not going to blow that lead.
I don't think he's a threat in the playoffs.
I would agree with that.
Clemson's not.
Right.
They're not. If they make the playoffs,
you can look at that loss
done.
they had and know that they're not quite at that level.
Yeah.
But as far as the ACC goes, I think there's 2 teams and everybody else.
Yeah.
And I forget about Miami too, and I think Miami's real for real this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got punched in the mouth on Saturday night, but then they just come back roaring. Yeah.
Let's go to the next game. We got Florida and Mississippi State for the
battle.
We went. Okay, I will admit this. Okay, we're going to talk about this a little bit. We talked about this being the battle to not be the worst team in the SEC, but I'm not convinced. I think there's a couple of teams that still have a say there, but Florida just put it on them. I mean,
well, you say that, but the offense is pretty even. Florida just converted the points.
That's true. And they both just had one fumble, wasn't a bunch of turnovers. But the second quarter, I mean, I did not watch this game, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, almost 1,000 yards between the two teams. And, this is another, what, 60, 73 points?
But look
That's
at
a lot of
we talk
points.
about Florida not being good, but they went 26 of 28 passing.
Against Mississippi State.
But still, that's against an SEC team. Even if it's Mississippi State, 26 of 28 is very good. And we're
Against
talking about
Mississippi
Florida.
The Egg Bowl ain't even
I
going to be
know.
a contest.
Hey,
this week.
their will
I
to
got
win. Their will to win died with Mike Leach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's a fact.
they have not recovered from that, and
That is
it's
a
really
fact.
sad.
and their fan base. I dropped my lawnmower off today to have some work done to it, and I have a Ole Miss seat on my lawnmower. It's Ole Miss logo on the front, Rebels on the back. It's one of those seats that you can adjust. It's the air seat.
Mhm.
I bought it with the Ole Miss stuff on there, so I wouldn't get bitched at by Tep for spending $350 for a seat for this lawnmower. It was just, putting Ole Miss on there was a small price to pay, because then I could present it like I did this for you.
Let me take some notes on that, Dave.
But anyway, I pull in today, and they're that whole dealership are Ole Miss or Mississippi State fans. And he goes, I don't want that in here. It's got Ole Miss on it. And I said, well, do you really want to stand on that hill right now?
Yeah. Yeah. We're big supporters of Mike Leach, the air raid offense. Me and Terry both believe he's a Hall of Fame coach. I don't care about the win-loss 600 because, quite frankly, he would have been 600 if he'd been alive. If he had the opportunity to continue to coach, he would have made it past that 600 threshold. I think mathematically we figured it out, Terry. It was 2 games or something short of the 600
it wasn't much.
threshold.
And I mean, and before he went to Ole Miss, he was there. And then, before he went to Mississippi State, he was there.
Yep.
And I think it was a good thing for him to go there. He was pulling up a program that was really struggling, and he did.
And everywhere he went is better that he was there. So that to me is as much important. But I agree with you, Dave. They're still in mourning over losing him because they've not been able to figure anything out since.
Yeah.
And no one is going to Mississippi State when Big Game Lane's winning 11 in Oxford. Terry, what's next?
Next game is James Madison and North Carolina. And I think they played basketball on this one, 70-50.
James Madison, your Cheez-It team of the week.
To
1,227 yards of offense. 5 turnovers by Carolina. And you wonder how James Madison wins.
And James Madison had 53 points at halftime against North Carolina.
A team that I picked to finish in the ACC championship game because of their schedule, thinking that James Madison would play them hard. But who the hell expected a 120-point total score? Nobody. That's who. Nobody handicapped this one right. Even our boys, Dave and Tim. Sloppy football.
I probably would have predicted this game the other way. I probably made 50-20.
Yeah.
I would have never picked James Madison to win this game.
Well, and we know Mac Brown has won a national championship, but he had this guy named Vince Young there.
That helps.
And that helps.
Yeah.
And he had
that was his version. Yeah.
He had a really good defense at Texas, despite what happened in that national championship game against USC. That defense was a lot better than what they showed in the national title game.
Let me just to clear my affiliation. I don't like the University of Texas. I never have. I was always, I loved SMU until they got the death penalty, but Texas A&M was my school that I wanted my daughter to go to, and then she went to Oklahoma, so that all changes that. But what I'm saying is that Mac Brown was a hell of a coach, but when you can't beat Oklahoma, you're short. Your tenure in Austin, you're short for the world there.
Yep.
And they probably shouldn't have got rid of Mac Brown when they got rid of him.
I would agree with that.
I mean, but I could say that about I don't think Ole Miss should have got rid of Hugh Freeze when they got rid of him.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, it's like the same thing with Gus.
Bo Pelini won 9.5 games for Nebraska, but he lost the ones that mattered, and that's why he's no longer the head coach at Nebraska.
Yeah, there's a lot of coaches that are that way.
But I didn't even realize Mac Brown was at James Madison until after the game.
He's not. He's at North Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mac Brown is at North Carolina.
oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Mac Brown's back at North Carolina. He went from Carolina to Texas, back into the as to be an analyst, and then he went back into the booth.
Oh
back
crap!
into the coaching spot.
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here taking up for him, starting to feel good about him that he done something.
He's had some sound bites this week.
He's going to be short for North Carolina losing to James Madison. That's like Texas losing to Oklahoma all the time.
We had Gene Chizik at defensive coordinator out there, and they were doing terrible, but it doesn't look like it's got any better.
Well, they fired him. Chizik's gone, but yeah,
right.
It's not any better.
It's not any better after him.
Nope.
I swear I saw Mac Brown and didn't realize that he was with North Carolina, and then I was like, "Oh, he beat North Carolina. That makes sense."
No, he didn't.
That would make sense, but nope. Let's go to the next game. We got UCLA and LSU, and we keep talking about LSU being kind of a fraud, but UCLA is not a whole lot, but they win this ball game 34-17.
UCLA will be the doormat of the Big Ten this year. They'll be lucky to win a conference game. LSU still sucks. Their defense is still not good. Their head coach is a B+ player at best.
Suspect at best.
Always has been, always will be. He will not beat the big 4 or 5 in the SEC because he can't. And he doesn't have the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that helped him win 9 games last year. So LSU is still going to fall, Terry, 7-5, 8-4, something like that. They're not.
They're middle of the pack SEC team.
Yeah,
they're not.
Just too many teams.
Yeah, and they're not a good football team. When you don't play defense against UCLA, you're not a good football team. So
I will say that they are not scheduling scared because they are putting a lot of non-conference games on there with other Power 4 teams, we'll call it.
Yeah, the non-conference schedule, and we'll get to it at the end of the year, has been much better this year than last year, for sure.
I don't think there's much more to say here. Let's move on. We got Georgia Tech and Louisville, and I don't know about Louisville. I don't know how good they are this year compared to last year, but they beat Georgia Tech pretty handily here.
They scored. That's your difference.
I'm looking at the numbers, and those numbers do not match that score.
No. Georgia Tech, they had the fumble, but Georgia Tech's going to run the ball. And they didn't run the ball well. They're going to throw the ball, obviously. But you look at just the sheer number of plays. If I'm counting this right, let's call it 26 rushes and 19. So that means Louisville had 45 total plays. That's not that many.
Right.
If you do the math on 57 divided by 2.1, and then you have 19 additional, 45 plays is not a lot of plays. Most college football coaches want 60 or 70. And that's kind of what you see out of when you do the same math, you got 30 and 30 is 65 for Georgia Tech. So they obviously, you don't have a time of possession here, Terry, but if I had to guess, time of possession favored Georgia Tech. But once Louisville got up, and Jeff Fromm, and we know they're a good coach, well-coached football team, was in the ACC championship last year. But I thought they would have a lot more offensive firepower because that's kind of their game. But they got the stops when they needed them, and they won the game. And I picked Georgia Tech to win this one, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't know enough about Louisville. Well, you learned something about Louisville today. They beat a physical football team.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's been kind of a question mark this year. They look good. They beat Florida State, but then they haven't looked great the rest of the year so far.
Yeah, did they shoot their wad, playing Georgia Tech or playing Florida State?
They play good in Ireland. I'll just say that.
Let's
move on.
This one.
Vanderbilt almost pulled it off in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
But they vandied it and lost in overtime 30-27.
And it's not like Missouri wasn't trying to give it to them.
Right.
Clearly, no turnovers, but 442, you're not completing. That's, again, you're not finishing if that's the result right there.
Well, it was a big time field goal game, and they missed 2 in the fourth quarter. They didn't even have to go to overtime.
Well, there you go.
Do they not have the fat guy still there kicking for them? They got a new guy in there that can't.
They
kick
must
the ball?
because he didn't miss too often.
It just seemed like this was a fight to see who could lose.
Well, the thing is, Missouri is a very good football team, but the last couple weeks they have been tested. First by Boston College, which was a slugfest, and now by Vandy. But you can see they don't make a lot of mistakes. But you just said, Dave, they lost 6 points by not converting field goals in the fourth quarter when it mattered. So
Right.
maybe they're not going to turn the ball over, but at the same time, you better be able to convert those points. And particularly when you get to Georgia, when you get to Ole Miss, when you get to Tennessee, when you get to Alabama, when you get to Texas, you better be able to score.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to say that for a college kicker, I got a piece of advice. A piece of advice for just something, some food for thought. If you can't score on the field, you can't score off the field.
And that's why Dave's here tonight, because he gives us his pearls of wisdom. What's up next, Terry?
We got, oh, good Lord. After that,
your
I got to
turn.
talk about this. Hold on. Give me some room. I could have copied and pasted the stats from this Arkansas-Auburn game from the Cal-Auburn game. 4 interceptions, 1 fumble, a lot more yards. Defense played great considering all the turnovers, and they end up losing by 10.
I watched most of this game, and it just seemed to me like Auburn was playing very sloppy football.
Yeah.
Like
The
I was
offensive line is
surprised at
not
how
great.
sloppy they were.
The quarterbacks make bad decisions. You know, this is where Hugh Freeze comes out and says we got to get somebody that doesn't throw to the other team. And then, you know, we talked about the whole Bo Wallace thing. But you know what, Hugh, and I got to get back to this. In the offseason, people kept saying, go get a transfer portal quarterback. And he said, no, we're good. We're obviously not good.
Well, Nick Saban also said on game day there's a reason they're in the transfer portal, and that's why Florida State was a microwave school, because it was a quick fix. That was hilarious. And 72-year-old Nick Saban don't give a fuck, in case anyone wondered. This is what this tells me, Terry. 2 things. Number one, if Auburn don't clean up the turnovers, it's going to be a long, ugly season.
Yeah.
Number 2, Arkansas is not nearly as good a football team. You gave them 5 extra opportunities to score, and
Absolutely.
they beat Auburn 24-14 with Bobby Petrino as your offensive coordinator. So Arkansas is clearly, and they only had 334 yards of offense with those 5 extra possessions. So it's not like they're that good a football team, Arkansas.
What's Arkansas's record now? 3-0?
2-2?
Are they 2-2?
2-2 or 3-1? Yeah,
I've seen them play. I've seen them play twice. They've looked pretty good both times. So
well, they lost to Oklahoma State, and
Arkansas
they just barely lost to Oklahoma.
3-1, so they lost to Oklahoma State. They lost.
And they almost won that game.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm saying, Terry. My thought process is if you guys keep turning the ball over, you're never going to win games.
Right.
And we're going to get there in a second.
Everything seems to be in place but that. Now, the offensive line is not great. They kind of rebuilt the offensive line this year. It's not doing much better. They may be worse than they were last year overall, and that's the scary part. This is year 2. If you're not better than year 1, because I'm looking at the outlook for the rest of the season. Auburn's 2-2 right now. And there's a lot of tough games coming up. How many of those are winnable? They went to a bowl game last year.
Mm-hmm.
They may not go to one this year, and that's going the wrong direction.
Correct.
But War Eagle anyway, like my headline said.
That's right.
I'm really, really surprised that Auburn's not playing better football than they are right now, because I had high hopes for Hugh Freeze there. I was a fan of Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, what I liked about him is he wasn't scared of Nick Saban. And I just thought he would be better. And maybe I was expecting results quicker, but hopefully they'll stay the course and give him a chance, because I do think he's a very, very good coach.
I think this quarterback situation could possibly be seen as a mulligan. And don't just fire a guy because it's a pretty big mistake here, obviously. But
And
give
there's
it a
got to
couple
be a
more years to
quarterback
see what happens.
there's got to be a quarterback that's riding the bench somewhere that wants to get in the portal. A good quarterback.
I know. Auburn's been good with transfer quarterbacks. 2010, 2013, both transfer quarterbacks.
1-1.
We'll see what happens next year. Can we do transfer portal midseason? Had we started that yet? We might want
No,
to take
sir.
those.
No, sir.
Let's move on to the next game and quit talking about this one.
Oof.
I'll let you take this one, Andrew. Your turn.
Yeah, my turn to take our licks. Nebraska, consecutive sellout number 400. The fan base deserved this victory. The players did not give it to them. So the interception Dylan Raiola threw, once again, in the end zone, taken away from him, the receiver, on the way to the ground. Looks like it could have been incomplete. They called it an interception, whatever. 4 15-yard penalties after plays were over on Nebraska. They looked gassed and they looked tired in the fourth quarter, and Illinois had their way with them in the fifth in the overtime. Dylan Raiola is better than advertised. He hung in there, stood up, 24-35, 297, 3 touchdowns. The rushing was not great. Like I said, the interception in the end zone, that was a touchdown. Then they decided on 4th and 3 with the backup kicker to kick a 39-yard field goal instead of giving it to Raiola. I'd have given Raiola the ball and told him, go get me my first down because the game was tied. So Rule went for the win, didn't work out. They had this play defensively where I think there was an issue there. It wasn't even a design. The tight end just sneaks his way out of the backfield, sitting in the corner of the end zone, touchdown twice. So they weren't reading the defense. They weren't striking. They weren't aggressive. They weren't blitzing. It looked like a really slow, soft team. So I'm hoping come Purdue, 12 o'clock Saturday, they get all that crap taken care of. Now,
am I wrong to think that when you lose in overtime, it's basically a coin flip?
Yes.
I am wrong to think that way?
Nebraska was better in every category of this game from a player standpoint, except for the defensive backs.
Yeah, I don't think overtime losses should hurt you as bad as losing in regulation.
Well, they dropped them out of the top 25, and beating Nebraska put Illinois at number 17, believe it or not.
I get it. I'm just saying that
we did used to have ties. Yeah.
Because the way that the overtimes are done, then it's just luck of the draw.
Do you know why, Dave, Tom Osborne doesn't have 4 national championships to his name and lost the one in 1984 for the 83 season?
Why is it?
Because instead of going for the tie and kicking the extra point, he went for 2 and lost to Miami 31-30. And that's where the saying "real men go for 2" came from, because he had the scoring explosion back then with two of the finalists for the Heisman were in his backfield. In Turner Gill and Mike Rozier. So
doing my research, there was a couple of stats. I think it's very impressive that they've been sold out since 1962.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. But it also says they've dropped 25 straight games to top 25 teams since 2016.
Last one they won was Oregon. They are 8-31 in 1-score games since 2016. 8-31.
It feels like that when you're that close, that if you just need one thing to go right, and then maybe it'll roll for them.
Well, there was speculation from the Nebraska fan base, because Terry and I have had this conversation, that you're going to have to win games. Dylan Raiola is not going to stick around. The reason tonight's headline is Raiola legacy continues is his brother has committed to the University of Nebraska in the 2026 recruiting class already. And he is as much of an arm and a quarterback as his brother is already. So we're moving on to Purdue, 12 o'clock, Peacock, because everybody loves the Peacock. Get your subscription, $5.99. You can get the commercials.
Did I see where Ohio State's also playing on the Peacock this week?
They are. They're playing Michigan State on the Peacock.
Seems like the Gamecocks are missing an opportunity, not being on Peacock exclusively.
Yes.
Well, it's Big Ten. That's why. But Terry, we have a top 10 this week or what?
We do have a top 10. Here's your week 4 top 10. Thanks everybody for voting, everybody that did vote. And please, anybody that's listening that hasn't voted, we put these polls out every week. We would love for you to get involved. The more people, the more correct I think we could be. But let's start with number 10. And we got a new number 10 this week in Penn State. 3-0 out of the Big Ten. The biggest win they have so far was at West Virginia to start the year, but they will be playing Illinois this week, so that'll be a test.
Yeah, Penn State, Illinois. If you guys remember the game, Penn State, Illinois went into, was it 7 overtimes the one year?
Good.
That's this game. Now, this is going to be at Happy Valley. This is going to be a big time game. Penn State's going to have an opportunity to show who they are. What I'm interested in to see is if Illinois is really as good as they showed they were against Nebraska. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball. They successfully ran play action. We'll see what they do against the top 10 defense that Penn State has. And we'll go from there.
And Bober's got some commentary on Penn State in the chat here. So let's move on to number 9. We got Missouri.
The Tigers are back.
After this close call with Vanderbilt at home.
Well, they had some
help. We used to say,
lost,
Yeah, we talked about the voters not putting Missouri high enough in the past few weeks, but that close game with Vandy at home, I don't know.
Vandy at home and Boston College. Now, Boston College, I think, is a better football team than Vandy.
Yeah.
Because Vandy's never a good football team.
If it weren't for that Georgia State loss for Vandy, I might not say that, but it's not looking good. But now they got a bye week. Missouri's got a bye week this week, but they go to Texas A&M, and for some stupid reason, they're headed to UMass the next week. So,
yeah, the SEC's got that stupid schedule. They need to get rid of all that bullshit right in the middle of the season. Get it up front and be done with it. That's what I like about Lane's schedule. Dave, a thought on Missouri at number 9?
I think it's high for Missouri.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking at their schedule, they could win 3 of the next 4.
Alabama, give them a fight.
Alabama's gonna whip that ass.
They're at Alabama.
In Tuscaloosa,
Yeah.
That's tough. They got to play a lot better than they did against Vandy, that's for sure.
But I mean, even looking down that, Oklahoma's a winnable game unless Oklahoma turns something around. South Carolina, Mississippi State. I think that Alabama and Arkansas are really the only 2 games they got to worry about.
Oh, he just shit all over Auburn, Terry.
Oh, well, I mean, until Auburn quits throwing interceptions, I don't take any offense to that, honestly.
Who's number 8, buddy?
Number 8 is Miami.
Ooh.
And this is a little low, in my opinion. I think Miami is probably a better team than this. A big 50-15 win at South Florida, and they've got Virginia Tech this week, and Virginia Tech has not shown to be much.
This used to be the game, though. The U versus Virginia Tech.
The Big East game.
When Beamer was there, you were going to find out. You remember back, was it 2000, 2001? Michael Vick was the quarterback of Virginia Tech, and Dorsey was the quarterback for Miami. I want to say it was 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. Number 2 versus number 3, something like that. It was a fantastic football game. Beamer ball gets it done. They get the special teams play, blah, blah, blah. Frank Beamer ain't been there in a decade, and Virginia Tech has not been that threat since Beamer has left. I think that this one's probably closer than it deserves to be, but the U rolls, and we'll get to that in the preview. But who are they going to play? Who do they play on this schedule that gives them a football game?
It doesn't look like there's anybody. I was going to say that I had them at 6, but the strength of schedule, I didn't look at the strength of schedule.
Is at Louisville worth talking about? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, because we don't know enough about Louisville yet.
Right. I
we
still
know
don't
Jeff
know
Fromm's a
after
good
this
coach,
week.
and they just beat GT. But I mean, California, probably not. Florida State,
Florida State have that one game.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes teams do that. They've got talent.
But Florida State, Miami now, they could be 1-11 and 11-1, and the 1-11 is going to win. So
Maybe
could
Georgia Tech
Tech
has another one of those. Yeah,
could they be a trap?
could.
coming off of Duke, yeah, and their bye week is late. So anyway, I think the U rolls Friday night, but we'll find out. What's number 7, Terry?
Number 7 is Oregon, and they've dropped a bit, but they put it
They were
on
off this
Oregon
week.
State.
Yeah, they were off this week. They
Yeah,
didn't play
they were
anybody.
off this week. Yeah, so I haven't put the bye weeks in the top part. I'm just showing the previous record, but now they're getting geared up to go at UCLA, and that doesn't sound like a scary game at all. Michigan State is a pretty good football team, but that'll be at Oregon. Then they got Ohio State on October 12th, and that'll be really where we see what Oregon has.
Yep.
They play
Yeah, I
at
agree.
Michigan later, at Wisconsin, even though Alabama went in there and ran over them. At Wisconsin's not simple. So they've got a couple of chances to have close games here.
You know, I'm still high on Oregon, that defense. They figured out the
Yeah.
rushing game. Here's how you keep your quarterback from getting sacked. You run the ball. So if they can continue to do that, they're going to beat Michigan State. They're going to give Ohio State a fight. But $25 million was paid for a reason for the Buckeyes. So, and it isn't to beat Michigan. It's to win a national championship for the first time since 2014, I think it was.
So what are you thinking about Oregon, Dave?
I think it's Oregon at number 7 is. I think it's about where I put them.
Yeah, I think I had them a little higher earlier, but I think some other teams have really proven things that Oregon hasn't so far.
Well, I'll tell you this, boys. I never had them at number 3 like the AP did.
Yeah,
I just didn't see. I didn't see enough there. Yeah, I'm okay with them at 7. You know, they're a playoff team. I think they're a playoff team for sure. And when we get toward the end, Terry, we're going to have to start ranking the top 12. Just who's in, who's out, you know?
Maybe true.
I think
we'll
they're
know
a playoff
after
team.
Ohio State what they are.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to find out for real. Yes, sir. Terry, who's number 6?
Number 6 is Ole Miss.
Little low. Everybody's
I think so.
Insulting Big Game Lane there.
But you know, they have played Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, and Georgia Southern. So
yeah, they haven't been tested yet, and I don't know that they're going to be tested this weekend.
It's hard to know which Kentucky team shows up.
Well, again, you look at the schedule. Chance favors Lane Kiffin.
I think Arkansas is going to be a tough game for them. Georgia's definitely going to be a tough game for them.
LSU maybe
Shootout probably
because it's at Death Valley.
That might
it's
be
in
a
Tiger
crazy
Stadium.
game, and then they're at Arkansas. That Arkansas might play up. They got Georgia at home. That helps. But then, you know, they're getting help. Look at those last 2 games after a bye week. After
Florida,
they play Georgia, they got the 2 worst teams in the conference.
Yeah,
after
they're
a bye
going to. I mean, aren't they ranked? They're ranked 5th, aren't they?
5th in the AP.
In the AP, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Go out of your way to watch Lane Kiffin do TikToks with his daughters.
Oh, it's hilarious. It is so good to me.
Did you see the one with this weekend where his daughter was putting on makeup and asking him questions while she was putting on makeup? And one of the questions is, it's parents' weekend. My mom's coming. How do you feel about that? He goes, well, she hadn't come to a game all season, and we're ranked 5th. Everybody loves a winner.
He is so funny. And, like, he doesn't care. He's another one that just does not care.
I think he did the whole throw the clipboard in the sky thing in the last game.
Did he do it again?
2 games ago, because he did that at Alabama. I think he did that a couple of weeks ago.
Well, he was in the door at Ole Miss doing that. I like Lane Kiffin. I like him a lot. He's entertaining.
And nothing bothers him. That's the best part. Like, Saban is yelling at him in his face, and he's just like, okay, all right.
I like what Kirby said. They've got like a group chat, and somebody asked Kirby about these things that Lane puts on social media, and Kirby's like, he does that all the time in the group chat. That's nothing new.
Yeah, he goes, I see everything he posts before he posts it.
Yeah.
But watching him this weekend with his daughters on TikTok, I got tickled.
Number 5. Tennessee. Tennessee kind of swapped places with Ole Miss this week on this list after going into Oklahoma and getting the win.
Not on my list.
But I guess that is really the difference. If you want to say that Tennessee's a little more proven just because they went to Oklahoma and won, we'll see. But I think these two teams are pretty even. And Tennessee has a bye week before they head to Arkansas on October 5th.
I see 2 games on that schedule.
Yeah, Alabama and at Georgia.
Yep. I see 2 games for that offense. I see 2 games. On
they've
that
got.
I think Arkansas is going to test them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
I think Arkansas is going to test them.
I'm a little disappointed.
I'm not sure they're as good as. I mean, I'm not sure that Oklahoma just wasn't that good.
Oh, they're not good.
That win over Oklahoma may be a louder indication that Oklahoma is not what I don't think it's as impressive they beat Oklahoma because I don't think Oklahoma is what was expected.
Oklahoma won against Temple 51-3, and I was able to pick apart their offensive line and their protection schemes because they let their quarterbacks get sacked 6 times and lost a wide receiver for 8 weeks to a foot injury when you're up 35 points. What sense does that make? That was dumb on Venable's part. But no, for me, Dave, Arkansas is not got the talent level Tennessee does. And even though they got Bobby Petrino ready to take Sam Pittman's job next year, because that's going to happen at Arkansas, Terry's prediction, not mine, but we support each other here on TNA Top 10. Florida sucks. Arkansas is not great. Alabama, of course, is a top 5 team. Then Kentucky. Stoops will get them ready to play, but I don't know that you're going to be able to. And then you got Georgia and then UTEP and Vandy. I mean, this again favors Tennessee. The schedule favors Tennessee. Particularly when we start talking about Texas's schedule, Georgia's schedule, Bama's schedule, it gets ugly talking about those schedules.
Yeah.
And I think Heupel might turn it off a little bit in some of these games. We secure the win, don't go full throttle the rest of the way. I don't know. We may not have seen the best game from Tennessee yet.
Manage your resources, manage your playing time. Who's number 4, Terry?
Number 4 is Ohio State.
What? They fell to 4? Oh, my.
I don't think they're top 5 on my list.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're another team that hadn't really played anybody. They played
but I hate them.
Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall, and they've got at Michigan State this week, and they got Iowa next week. And at Oregon. So the next few weeks, it's going to get a lot tougher. We'll find out a lot about Ohio State.
Well, we talked about this last week. I called this the teeth of Ohio State's schedule because you draw Michigan State in Ann Arbor, or not Ann Arbor, excuse me, in East Lansing. You got Iowa in Iowa City. Or you've got Iowa, in Columbus. You've got Oregon in Eugene. You get Nebraska coming to town after your bye. And then you're at Penn State, and you both know that'll be a whiteout game, national television. And then you end up with Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, Michigan. To me, that's the teeth of the schedule. Yes, it includes Nebraska. Yes, I'm biased. But if Nebraska can fix those few things, they can test Ohio State. They won't beat them. I'm not going to come on this show and say Nebraska will beat them. But Iowa will always have a puncher's chance if they can grind out the defense. Oregon can score, and we know Penn State's very capable both ways on the football. So Michigan State here, you said trap game earlier, Dave. This is the trap game for Ohio State because Michigan State is not supposed to be as good as they are, and they're undefeated. They got Jonathan Smith as their head coach. He came out of Oregon State. But Michigan State hates Ohio State almost as much as we do. So the Spartans might have a fighting chance, or Ohio State drums them 60-3 or some shit. I don't know. So we'll see.
All right. Why don't we hit number 3, and that is Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
So they went into Wisconsin before the bye week and won 42-10. And they've got Georgia coming up, and both teams are coming off a bye week, and we're going to learn a lot about both of these teams this week.
Yeah, we'll get to the preview, but currently Georgia 1.5-point favorite in Tuscaloosa. So
I'm concerned. I am concerned. I mean, I'm going to tell you.
Till we get
I'm going to tell you, Roll Tide, but
hold the thought till we get to the preview because I have some analytics things I've done on the football. and I want your thoughts on them. Terry, number 2 had better not be Texas.
It is Georgia. So a big win against Clemson. So I mean that's a big game for the resume here when you start comparing the teams at the top. 34-3.
Especially after Clemson decided to start playing football and has just rolled. Yeah.
And people are really going to point at that 13-12 win at Kentucky before the bye week. But, Georgia kind of did that last year, similar kind of thing. I think they're geared up and ready to go into Tuscaloosa here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So Georgia has won 40 whatever consecutive regular season games. The 2 losses they've taken in the last 3 seasons have been to Alabama in the SEC championship. This time they get them in the regular season, so that's going to matter. And they get them early. You're talking game 4 for both teams. This is early. So we're going to see, and we'll preview that in a minute. Let's talk about Arch Manning and number 1, Texas, Terry. Because let's face it,
Absolutely.
he got it done again. He threw 2 picks against Louisiana Monroe, but contrary to what that defensive coordinator said, the Horns had no problem with Louisiana Monroe.
And Texas has got Mississippi State and then an actual bye week. And then they got the big game against Oklahoma, which, like we said, doesn't matter what the teams are, that game's going to be tough for both teams.
Traditionally, I mean, you can't. I mean, Texas should kill Oklahoma this year,
right?
But traditionally, that game is not that way. When the teams are good, the bad. I mean, it goes both ways, and I feel confident in saying, as an Oklahoma fan, that Texas is going to steamroll them this year because I think Texas is the best team in college football this year.
I think Sark is on a mission. And he's got the talent. I mean,
yes,
we talked about it last week, Terry. He lost his 2 starting running backs in the preseason before a snap was ever played, and that team ran roughshod all over Michigan. So I think Texas, like you do, Dave, is probably the best team in the country. I think Georgia's the most experienced and complete team in the country. But they certainly are not playing like the best team, and there is a difference. And we're talking micro differences in these top 2 teams.
If they get past Oklahoma and Georgia, they're rolling all the way.
That is an interesting part of the schedule.
Nothing that's going to stop them.
You got this Texas Oklahoma, which is going to be there's going to be some injuries coming out of that. And who's
Oklahoma is a trap game.
And Oklahoma is technically at home, but it is the Cotton Bowl still, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so, they're in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. They're in the State Fair of Texas.
So, but Texas is the official home team this year. So, anyway, Terry, that's the top 10. Run it down real fast, and we'll get to the game. We're a little overtime, but it's okay. Dave's here.
All right. So Penn State finds their way into the top 10 at number 10. We got Missouri at number 9, Miami at number 8, Oregon at 7. Ole Miss at 6, Tennessee at 5, Ohio State at 4, Alabama at 3, Georgia at 2, and the Texas Longhorns sit at the top again.
Yep.
Let's talk about, we did enough talking about last week in the poll. Let's talk about week 5 games we care about. We got Virginia Tech, Miami at Miami, Friday night, 7:30. Miami's favored by 18.5. Any chance Virginia Tech even gets within that 18.5 here?
If the bus breaks down and leaves the offense stranded down the road, maybe.
I think Miami probably wins this by 20-something points.
Yeah, they roll. They roll. I think they cover the spread. So, Terry, I'm going 3 full touchdowns again. You, unfortunately.
What do you think,
Dave?
I'm going with the U. There's no way the U loses this game.
You think they win big, or do you think that Virginia Tech keeps it close?
I wouldn't be comfortable. Betting, and I given that 18.5. I think Virginia Tech will cover.
Okay. I think I got 24.
I don't know why I think that way, but I do.
I think I got 24. I don't think much of Virginia Tech this year, but we'll see what happens.
Well, and the U needs an opening statement game for ACC football. So just like Clemson did last week, Terry, when I said I think Dabo sees Florida State on the ropes and he's going to take advantage of that and make a statement against the Wolfpack, which he did. I think that you get that from Mario Cristobal. The U has got to make a statement against Virginia Tech. And why not? It's an old rival, and a great Big East rivalry.
All right, let's move to Kentucky at Ole Miss Saturday at noon. Ole Miss favored by 17.5. I'll go first here. I don't know. Something tells me Kentucky's going to show up. I know that their record isn't great this year, but I think we're going to have fewer points, even though it's in Oxford. Ole Miss hasn't played against hardly anybody this year. I think Ole Miss by 10.
Dave?
I agree. I don't think that Kentucky's going to be a pushover. I don't think that Ole Miss is going to steamroll them, but I think Ole Miss is going to win. But I think Kentucky will cover the 17.5.
Jackson Dart does not get enough talked about as the quarterback of Ole Miss Rebels. And the reason for that is because he's playing in a league with people that are named Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, a very quarterback-heavy league. Ole Miss balls Saturday at home. Give me the Rebels by 35.
The Rebels by 35 by Andrew. That is a bold prediction.
I'm doubling the spread.
Would you be willing to say hotty toddy for my wife?
Hotty toddy, let's go Big Game Lane.
Fins up is as good as you're going to get from me.
Oh, okay. Let's move on to the next one. Also Saturday at noon, we've got Oklahoma State visiting Kansas State, and Kansas State's favored by 5.5.
They laid an egg this week, Terry.
Who did? Kansas State?
Yeah, the man got beat at home too, though. We didn't cover that, but Utah without Cam Rising. And guys, this is something seriously I don't know. Ollie Gordon, midway through the third quarter, your best running back allegedly in the country, had 9 carries. 9. What was Mike Gundy doing? Only letting Ollie Gordon carry, because I was at the gym, so I got the game on, watching and working out on the elliptical. But why was Ollie Gordon confined to so little carries in that game? That's what I want to know. Now, this one's at Kansas State. Manhattan is the black hole of the Big 12. Like, nothing else exists out of Manhattan, Kansas, except K-State football. But I think Oklahoma State gets it done. I'll take the Cowboys by a field goal in Manhattan.
All right, Dave, you want to go next?
Yeah, I was going to say the OSU by a touchdown. That's what I was going with.
I'm going to go beyond that. I'll say OSU by 10, even though Kansas State's favored by 5.5. I think the mullet is going to get fired up after he fixes the AC and the soda machine at the press conference this week. I think he's going to get fired up, and they're going to run the ball down Kansas State's throats and win by 10.
And let's not forget, it's the 17th anniversary of when he declared that he was a man, Terry. So he's a man. He's 40. Now he's 57. We figured out how old Mike Gundy is without Wikipedia. Up next, Nebraska at Purdue, the road game after 4 games. Somehow they had 4 games at home in a row, which is weird. I don't know. But I've seen several other teams have a similar schedule, so I don't know what they're doing. Nebraska's favored by 9.5. Give me the Huskers by 3 touchdowns. Rayola's coming with the mission. The defense is going to ball. Purdue doesn't have a lot of playmakers. I get that it's 12 o'clock and it's at Purdue, but Nebraska is going to have their shit together because I promise they got their asses kicked at today's practice and yesterday's practice. And Rayola has been excellent. He's going to be superb Saturday afternoon.
All right, Dave, we'll let you go next.
I'm going to go Nebraska. I think Nebraska by 2 touchdowns.
That's what I was going to do. Nebraska by 14.
Y'all weak.
Now they're going to get fired. They're going to get fired up after that loss.
No, they're coming to whoop that ass is what they're doing. Because I promise you, they ran a bunch of stadium stairs yesterday and today, so it ain't going to be pretty.
All right.
Speaking of not pretty, can Wisconsin keep it ugly, Dave? Wisconsin, SC. SC is favored by 14, sir. This is in the Coliseum.
Man, I feel dirty if I pick SC.
Somebody told me he hated Lincoln Riley, Terry, and I remember.
I think he told you like 7 or 8 times during this show.
But I remembered it from before because who put these games together? Oh, that was me.
When we're not recording, when we're not recording, I'll tell you. I will draw you a picture of how bad I hate Lincoln Riley. But I don't want to get y'all canceled, so I won't say it on y'all's show.
I haven't got us canceled yet. It can't be that bad.
It must take
it's bad. It's bad. I know where the line is, but I mean, I will say fuck him then, now, and forever, and go Wisconsin. They'll cover. They'll cover. They're not going to win.
But you don't think they lose by 14?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I think they're going to put the fear of God in them. I think it's going to be a close game.
So we learned that SC has no running game. Wisconsin's very strong on the line of scrimmage. They will have a running game. They will control the clock. I'm taking Wisconsin in an upset in the Coliseum. Give me the Badgers by 6.
See, I was tempted to say that. I'm reluctant. I don't think SC's as good as I thought they were last week. I think Wisconsin's a lot better than they're getting credit for with this 2-touchdown thing here. But I think SC at home by a field goal.
Okay. We'll see.
I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I had my way. SC would never win another game again, and a big old an earthquake would hit and swallow the stadium. And I mean,
biggest factor in that game is Tyler Van Dyke is out for Wisconsin for the season with a torn ACL, and he's the quarterback that came in from Miami.
Yeah.
So, but they still run the ball. They still control the line of scrimmage. They still are going to play Wisconsin football if they're given the opportunity to do so. Now, against Alabama, they were simply outgunned.
Right.
SC is not in the same category, caliber, ranking, whatever of Alabama.
No.
So, and I think Wisconsin needs a bounce back game. This might be it.
And Lincoln Riley wanted to chirp real loud when they beat LSU. He goes, y'all said I was scared of the SEC. Well, I beat an SEC. No, bitch. We said you were scared of Nick Saban is what we said. You were scared of Nick Saban, and you was probably scared of Georgia. But nobody ever said you were scared of LSU or anybody else. But you knew who Daddy was. Now he ain't here.
Well, speaking of teams that everyone loves to hate, we got Notre Dame welcoming Louisville there, Terry. It's a 5.5 point favored for Notre Dame. Now, remember, they rolled the last couple weeks after losing to Northern Illinois. Louisville is undefeated. Jeff Fromm is the head coach. Little Indiana stuff, but it is in South Bend, 5.5.
I'll go Notre Dame by a touchdown. I want to say Louisville, but I haven't seen
Louisville's
enough.
Up after last week.
Yeah,
they're riding high.
Yeah, I just think Notre Dame is going to get it done at home by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going Notre Dame too probably by about 10.
Give me Louisville by a field goal.
Oh,
all right.
I ain't scared.
All right, we got this next one. Oklahoma, with their first SEC road game, comes to Jordan-Hare. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Auburn. They can be very good if they just hold on to the dang football. Oklahoma's favored by 2.5 on the road. I cannot pick against Auburn. It's against my nature. I will say Auburn by a field goal.
Yeah,
in a really low-scoring game.
When we get to Nebraska, Ohio State, I'll stay in a loud, clear voice that Nebraska is not going to beat Ohio State up until October 26th. And then they're pulling off the biggest upset in the history of college football, October 26th of the Horseshoe. This game, for me, Terry, comes down to turnovers. The offensive line of Oklahoma sucks. I always said defense wins championships. Turnovers do not win you a game. So I'm at a push. Seriously. Do I pick Oklahoma? Do I pick Auburn? Jordan-Hare is one of the least favorite places for any opposing team to play. I'm giving Auburn the win by a field goal only because it's a Jordan-Hare Stadium.
All right. Dave?
Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner.
What a heel.
They're going to bounce. They're going to bounce back. They're embarrassed about their performance against Tennessee, and they're gonna come back with a vengeance. I'm gonna say Oklahoma by 14.
All right. Very well could happen if Auburn doesn't know how to hold on to the football.
That's the big thing. They're minus.
Oh, they have the worst turnover
14,
differential and most turnovers in the country, right?
That's the thing about being a fan is I can see how bad y'all played last week, but I can't see how bad we played last week.
Ohio State, Michigan, East Lansing, 7 o'clock on the Peacock. Ohio State is a $25 million team built to win a championship. The Spartans, on the other hand, another scandal, Mel Tucker, sexual harassment, blah, blah, blah. Blew $80 million contract on his own. No longer to coach. Jonathan Smith doesn't have all his players. 25 or not, guys?
Oh, they're going to cover.
Yeah, I think
they're going to cover.
I think 35.
You're going to wonder if this is one of those games that were scheduled just to have a high score. And I mean, this probably at the beginning of the year might have thought it would have been one of their more competitive games, but no, they're going to.
So you're giving the Spartans no chance against Ohio State?
None whatsoever.
Me neither. Yeah, I think Jonathan Smith's doing well, but it's still Ohio State at Michigan State at this point, and he needs some time. He ain't got the team for it.
I agree with both of you, but I think the spread is about right. I think the spread's about right. But I think Ohio State wins in a runaway. I mean, it's to their they need to show off. They need to have a big win because they ain't played nobody yet. Marshall doesn't count as competition. No matter what my buddy Yambag Jones tells me. So.
All right, well, let's move another Big Ten game.
Yeah, the semi-main event of the evening, Terry, in Happy Valley.
Illinois at Penn State, and Penn State's favored by 17.5 against an Illinois team that's looking pretty good, honestly. 17.5 looks big to me. I'm going 7.
Yeah.
Penn State by 7.
I would take Illinois to cover.
Tough defense on both sides of the ball. I think that Nebraska gave Penn State the scouting report. I think they know what to do to stop Illinois. This is always a close game, but I'll take Penn State by 10 because it's in Happy Valley. It's under the lights. It's going to be loud.
If I was doing a handicapper hotline, this might be my lock for the week. That this is the game that you could bet on and you're going to win because they're going to cover that. I think that's giving you money with 17.5 right there.
Yeah. And now the game everybody wants to talk about.
And it's got the wrong spread. It's wrong. Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought it was 1.5.
Sorry, that must have been whatever game was there last week.
Okay. So, Dave, you're the guest. You're the guest picker. We've got Georgia. I set it up for us earlier. Undefeated 3 consecutive seasons, 40-plus regular season wins. The only 2 L's they've taken in the last 3 years are to Alabama in the SEC championship, 2-time national champions during that period, 17 returning starters, including Carson Beck, coached by Kirby Smart, and the game is in Tuscaloosa. On the other side of the ball, Alabama has a quarterback who's in the Heisman Trophy conversation that, as I mentioned last week, can throw the wheel, can throw the slant, can throw the dig, can throw the curl, can throw the go. Oh, and by the way, he can run quarterback draw out of an empty set. So you have to account for him. They can go 5 wide, and Kirby's going to have to account for Jalen Milroe as a runner. All that being said, it's Bryant-Denning Stadium, 7:30. Game day will be there officially. Your thoughts on Alabama, Georgia?
Gonna be a tight game. Roll Tide. It will be decided on the last play of the game.
But you're taking the Tide.
I'm taking the Tide, but it will come down to the wire. They'll either score a touchdown or kick a field goal as time expires, but it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a dogfight, and I'm going. It's a homer pick. Roll Tide.
I'll go ahead and go next. I think Alabama by 4, and Georgia will have the ball, needing to score a touchdown, and will run out of time.
All right. So you're going to make me be heel today. Go Dogs. And I have been a Roll Tide guy for a long time, Terry, but Nick Saban is no longer the head coach at the University of Alabama, and that matters. That matters in this particular situation. The greatest disciple he ever had is Kirby Smart. And Kirby's going to have them motivated after that piss-poor performance against Kentucky. Wisconsin, in losing 42-10, exposed some of Alabama's weaknesses defensively. So while Jalen Milroe can run out of an empty set and he can play 5 wide and they can play trips and they can play all of the different offensive configurations, Georgia is a more physical football team that will control the line of scrimmage. I agree with you both, though. This is a 1-score game. I'm taking Georgia by 7. And I also would agree with Dave. This could come down, or you, to come down to the last possession.
Yeah.
Carson Beck proves he is a dealer, and he will get it done as a game manager for Georgia.
This will be the game that if Alabama wins this game, I will feel better about our head coach. Because my apprehension doesn't have anything to do with what's going on the field. Nick Saban's gone. And I'm trying to give new coach benefit of the doubt. I need him to show me something this week. And if he throw his 10-pounder on the table and show Kirby how big a boy he is, then I'm going to feel real good going forward. But I mean, when I tell you Roll Tide Alabama, I'm 100% picking as a fan. I'm not going to pick against my team.
And Nick Saban's not there anymore, so I'm going to pick Georgia. And this is my point, Dave. I agree with what you say. Terry and I have had this conversation before. Nick Saban in every game was worth a touchdown by standing on the sideline.
Yes, sir.
Just his presence put Alabama up 7-0 before the snap ever happened. And he lost games. He lost 29 of them as the head coach.
I'm hoping since they're playing on Nick Saban field that it's worth 3 points.
But my point is that there are those coaches that have that intimidation factor. Urban Meyer had it. When you had Urban Meyer in Florida and it was him and Tebow and all the criminals, I mean, you went into Gainesville, you went into the swamp, you weren't going to win a football game in the swamp. Not during those years you weren't. Spurrier had that swagger. Tom Osborne for Nebraska, chewing his damn big red gum, chomping on the sideline, had that swagger. So there is something to be said about that. Kalen DeBoer, unfortunately for him, decided to step into the shoes of a giant among college football coaches. And this is his first big test. I understand he was successful at South Dakota and Washington with far less resources, but this is Alabama, Georgia. This is national championship level football, and I don't think he's ready for this level of football yet because Georgia will bring it. And I hope I'm wrong because I want to see a rivalry between him and Kirby for the next decade.
Oh yeah, and I think the line being 1.5
tells you all you need to know.
It's a show of respect, you know.
Yeah.
But we doubted him all year last year.
We did.
And
offensively, like I said, you can tell offensively his fingerprints are all over the Alabama system. I mean, they're like I said, they're going 5 wide empty set. They're playing trips, strong side, weak side. They're trying to do a little bit more running. They're doing quarterback draw. And if you've got Jalen Milroe as big and strong and fast as he is, you put quarterback draw into because the way they're going to slow down that Georgia front, that's what they're going to have to do, is they're going to have to be creative. That's where DeBoer has the edge. The problem is you got 17 starters returning for Georgia, including the trigger man. And their defense is fast. That front 7, the linebackers and the front 3 are going to give Alabama some headaches, I believe. And I wouldn't normally pick against Alabama.
Well, let's don't forget that Nick Saban has an office there. Don't think that he hadn't coached this man up on what to look for.
Right. And the thing is, he and Kirby are so good of friends as well. Yeah. You know, and Nick Saban wants the conference to be successful. I'll be interested to hear his comments Saturday on game day. But man, I'm excited because this is the first big football game of the year. I would say big and I mean there've been good ones, don't get me wrong.
Texas, but Michigan, but Michigan did drop down a little bit, so it's not quite at this level.
Well, this is the first top 5 football game.
Yeah.
And in our poll and everybody else's.
I'll be interested to see who Pat McAfee picks in the build.
Did you see McAfee? He mentioned him. Did you see McAfee troll wherever they were? Where were they?
Oklahoma?
They were in Oklahoma.
Yeah, he picked Tennessee over Oklahoma. Yeah. He's a Boomer Sooner. Not today.
Right.
Yeah, he does that.
Oh, he did it in the SEC title game, and it was magical.
It was great.
He called the dogs, and then he says, "Give me Alabama." The whole crowd went nuts. It was great. But I
guess what, boys?
We went 2.5 hours. Oh,
I made the leaderboard this week, guys. Bryant got lucky because Timmy C did not pick his games this week, so he dropped down.
Yeah, I didn't pick my games for a couple of weeks. I what am I, 6-4?
I'm
Bryant's in the lead at 24 and 16.
Yeah, I'm 20 and 20, so I'm right on.
You're right on our heels. Yeah. And, Timmy C is at 21 and 11. I put him above us. It just counts the number of wins. So technically, ESPN shows us tied, but I figured with him with 11 losses, I'll put Timmy C above him.
Brian Horanz is not good at.
I don't know. Andrew, do you want to comment on that?
No, I mean,
you're right. He wins. He won our bowl pick'em last year. Yeah, he's very good. He knows a lot of stuff.
He is very, very good. The one thing that I pointed out, and this is not a cop-out or an excuse, they pick some damn games to pick that I'm like, I have no idea. Right. Like I don't even know.
I normally go with the favorite on those games because I don't know any better.
Virginia Tech versus Rutgers. Flip a coin. Literally flip a coin. And there's nothing to do there but call. That is correct, Bober. There's nothing.
Hey, I'm in Alabama. Come on.
He's a few years younger than me, so he doesn't maybe remember the glory days as vividly. But I bet you he's got them all on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. So,
all right, well, that's enough glory for him. Let's take him off the screen and we'll just show our mugs here.
Bober's making me laugh. The game sucked last week. They were not great, Mike. That is for sure.
Well, Bober's doing well too. I pulled into a tie with you there, Bobes. Fixing to overtake you.
Can I just say to Bobes, go Stars?
Fuck hockey. This is our show. We don't do that here.
Hey, what are we going to talk about when baseball season ends? I don't know. Football. We got to figure out.
Hockey.
I'll find reasons to hate LeBron James, and we can talk about that every week.
There you go.
I will not run out. I saw him with P. Diddy in a video on Instagram earlier. I can't wait for him to be on the VIP list. Talking about Diddy parties.
All right. Well, let's try to wrap it up. It's been great, Dave. Wonderful having you on both.
Thank y'all for having me on. I've had a blast.
So fun. It's great. You know, the other show when we have the silly top tens, it's great to have other people on to give their opinions. That was very valuable. Thank you.
Anytime. I had a great time tonight, and I knew more about hamburgers than I do football. But I still had a good time.
Well, that might be all three of us. Wait a minute. I didn't eat at half those fast food restaurants y'all picked. We put them on the list.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you. To me, it's Whataburger, Carl's Jr., and everybody else. I can't believe Sonic didn't make the list.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look this time at 11, 12, and 13.
It's real hard.
I was surprised one like White Castle or Crystal didn't make the list, but oh well. It's a different thing. Too many choices.
Wait,
like Shake Shack,
you really don't eat White Castle. You just borrow it for a little bit.
That's true. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Andrew and Allison. She's not on screen, but she's here. We thank you. We love you. Thanks everybody for voting this week on both polls. Thanks anybody that showed up. Mike Bober was really doing, and Alex Wheaton, I see there. Thanks, Alex, for showing up. Mike's the one with all the comments. He didn't know how to shut up, but he knows how to pick some football games, so that's good. We'll forgive him for that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up quick this week. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Thanks for voting. Like I said, be a champ this week in everything that you do. See you next time, everybody.